Hello and welcome to the RWBY podcast. I am a Stegosaurus Mediocrity 4.
It is I, high-powered in a case of weird Inception, and we totally didn't lose all the footage, guys, I promise. That didn't happen. We don't lose files in OBS. It is me, high-powered. Also, I am terribly ill.
You know, we did actually record this episode, almost the entire thing. We lost 2 hours of recording. And I just have to say that in the beginning of that episode that we lost, I said that I was going to do everything I could do to not talk about that one character that starts with N that I cannot shut the fuck up about. And I managed to pull it off through that entire 2 hours. And you know what? Just because I know you guys are probably sick of me talking about her, I'm going to try to do it all over again this time. I'm Dude.
I've made jokes you people wouldn't believe. Roman in a Yowie Girl's cum jar. An entire quote of the chorus of Brass Monkey. All those quips will be lost into OBS like tears in rain. I'm Coop.
Always glad to have the gang all here, or at least the four of us. So yeah, this is kind of a redux of a redux. I wasn't gonna call attention to it because it was absolutely my fault. But yeah, we're kind of updating our character ranking list. We actually wanted to do this in the same video as our worst character list, but then that ended up going just 2.5 hours just talking about the worst. So we decided to split it up, and then we had the 100th episode special, and then I was not paying attention to OBS, so we only had the intros and then nothing else. After 2 hours of shooting the shit and talking about these characters. But Dude, you are the one with the list, so let's just get right into it.
Yeah. Okay, so this is our top list, and we all made a top 10 list. And so I've taken all of the characters that each of us put on, and I averaged them out. So we're going from the least best character that we all put on our list to the most besterest character on our list that we collectively voted for, okay? So this one is number 17, and it is General Iron Daddy.
If I recall, I'm the only one who had Ironwood on his list. Yeah. So
I had him on my bottom, but you have him on your top.
Yeah, and in the last recording, you guys tried to gaslight me into thinking that I had him on my list. And
that
I
was my fault.
Did.
That's because I misread Google Sheets.
Yep.
Because the actual Google Sheet category letter that it has, I put our initials for each of our lists, and I accidentally read the Google Sheet M that was above the C that I put for Coop. So that's why I fucked up in Gaslit Media, and that's why he blocked our recording.
No, that's
just kidding.
Not why.
I know.
The recording was
I'm
already
fucking
shot
around.
to shit before that.
Like
Yeah, I know. I know.
Why the recording didn't go through, but
So yeah, Coop was the only one who actually put him on his top list.
Which I think we had a good conversation about Ironwood, which his character started off pretty well through basically most of the entire show up until his character assassination, and I think we even talked about like you could have fun with his character assassination. I feel like if they did his character assassination even, well, I don't even want to see it. If Ironwood's downfall was better, he probably would have been ranked higher, because you could still have like a character have a downfall or a generational crash out and still be interesting and fun to watch. But that wasn't the case for Ironwood.
yeah, I the reason I put him on my list, I have him ranked I think 9th. Yeah, 9th.
Yeah, 9th.
Which, that's still the bottom of mine. Mostly because of the crash out. The amount of times he showed up beforehand, and he was present since like almost the beginning of the show. So he had a lot of chances to screw up prior, and he was pretty good throughout that entire run, and that was a pretty long run. So being able to go that long in RWBY without having anything fucked up happen to you, that's a pretty good character in my opinion. I just wish they had let him go out on a higher note, really. And that's all I can really say about him right now. Unless, if you guys want, we can just try to completely recreate the conversation
Well,
from
I mean,
another.
No, we don't need to try. I mean,
yeah. I mean, we just let it flow naturally. That's what's
Yeah.
best. So Ironwood almost did make my list, and there's a character who is on my list for very similar reasons, and I ended up going with that character instead for my number 10 spot. If they would have just kept the course with him from where they had him at like the halfway point of Volume 7, he could have been in my top 5, maybe even number 1, depending on how things played out. Because Ironwood, just right off the bat, he's kind of a morally compromised character. Because he gives no fucks, and that's refreshing in a show, in a genre where there's entirely too many fucks to be given. It's always refreshing to have someone who is just like, no, this is who I am, this is what I'm about, this is how I'm gonna do things. And then his kind of like bickering with Ozpin throughout like volumes 2 and 3. And then the fact that he's like the only one to stand up for Weiss in volume 4. Like, that really endeared him to everyone. And then in volume 7, it just continued to be that good. Like, he was so good throughout all of volume 7. The only issue I took with him in volume 7 is that, like, why is he diverting resources trying to catch Crow and Team RWBY when, like, he shouldn't be diverting resources, period. He should just be like, okay, whatever, fuck them. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm gonna do. They could go out and stay in Mantle and hold the ground there and die for all I care. Like, that's the direction that they probably should have taken him. And then only have him, like, get more invested when Penny goes along with them. Because he needs Penny for all of his plan. If they would have, like, went that route, then he would have come off a lot better, I think. But they ended up making him crazy in a dumb way by the end of Volume 8, with him trying to, like, just outright nuke Mantle instead of just keeping the bomb for a worst case scenario for later on. Like, he has nothing to really gain from that. And that's why he ended up making Dude's worst list. I still like him on the whole, overall. I'm still more, like, positive on him.
I might be Adela affecting myself, but did Ironwood basically allow Weiss to leave because she was getting on, like, the last plane out of Atlas?
How much he knew and how much control he had over that is unknown. He was not privy to any of that information, as far as we know.
I loved Ironwood for a while. Like, I liked him in the beginning of the series. I like that he's a more complex character. I like that he's somebody who is doing the wrong thing for the right reason a lot of the time. I think that's one of the things that makes him an interesting character. He's not somebody that I think you're supposed to agree with all the time. And I think that's okay. And that's why I liked him for so long. And honestly, before the end of Volume 7, like, right after he beat Watts, probably would have been my number 2 or number 3 character in the show, honestly, at that point. I liked him that much. And if somebody put him at number 1, I wouldn't have even blamed anybody for that. Because I like that he's authoritarian, which you're not supposed to agree with, but, like, the writers knew you weren't supposed to agree with that. That's okay. It's okay to have somebody he's always doing it because he thinks it's actually the right thing to do. He gave himself 2 seats on the council, not because he's genuinely greedy for power. It's because he genuinely thinks
that big.
He just thinks he's the only one who is making the right decisions, and everybody else is dumb and wrong and not going to protect the people. And he's doing all this clearly because he wants to help people and what he thinks is doing the right thing. You can see that in how much he fucking just literally sacrifices himself. You see that, I think it's Volume 3, where they reveal, like, he's already half robot by that point. So you know this guy is like Anakin Skywalker in the Clone Wars TV show. He is leading from the front. Like, he is actually getting dirty. He is putting everything on the line. So you can respect that. So whatever he's doing it out of, like, an actual sense of duty. And that's what makes it all the more frustrating when they throw that away at the end of Volume 7. And just because their characters can't be wrong, that, you know, RWBY and the main girls can't be wrong, Ironwood has to be just a completely evil psychopath. It's like, I think we always kind of knew they were going to have him end up being somewhat of a bad guy at some point. We're all fine with that, I think. But taking it as far as they did was too far, and having him be that ridiculously evil and stupid is way too much. He just doesn't. He didn't deserve that. I think you could have had him be a cool, badass, semi-antagonist, deuteragonist, or I don't know. I can't remember all the terms and shit at this point. But you know what I'm talking about, like a semi-antagonist or
Ironwood would have been better served. Like, oh no, the command center blew up, and he just died off screen like that.
Well, and the dumbest thing about it too is like then they have RWBY actually admit that she fucked up anyway. So why did she need to be right versus Ironwood when at the at the end of Volume 9 and at the end of Volume 8 and into Volume 9, she's admitting that she was wrong anyway. So why did Ironwood need to be assassinated that way? That's the other thing, is it didn't even end up really mattering. So that's the kind of stuff that's frustrating. But yeah, I mean, on the whole, is he one of the better characters in the show? Unfortunately, yes. Even with, and again, I won't say her name, but he is an even bigger character assassination. As much as he's not even the character I care about as much, I will admit this is the biggest character assassination in the show. And even with that, yes, because he was so good for so long, that's what makes his assassination so frustrating. But on the whole, if you weigh out his averages, yeah, he probably is in the top 10 if you're weighing out how good he is throughout the series. Especially as like volumes 4 and 7. Like, he's amazing in volumes 4 and 7.
Yeah, I forget, what did you call it? The recency bias or whatever.
Yeah.
I definitely get that being sort of having some play in, which I mean, and this is how we're doing it. We're basically just going off of feels, whatever you like most. So I definitely get why other people wouldn't have put him on there. Main reason I put him on there was just because there was a very few people to fill the slots, and I needed somebody. Like,
yeah, top 10 is difficult with RWBY. Yeah, that is true. All right.
Yeah, you have to have you have to have at least a handful of characters that have a big fat asterisk next to their name.
Honestly, there's only one character I have that doesn't have a giant asterisk next to their name, and that's my number one. So, and that's our number one, actually. So we'll get there. Well, hopefully we do today. Anyway, there's 3 of us recording OBS to be safe, by the way. So number 16, next up, is another one that I believe only one person put on the list, which is Media, and that is Maria Calavera, aka the Grim Reaper.
Yes, I had Maria in the number 9 slot, I think, on my list. It's rare for a show like this to have a character come in so relatively late and then just kind of just be a good, cool, fun character without overstaying her welcome. She still has like very little screen time. She's really only present in Volume 6. Like, yeah, she hangs around in Volume 7 and the first part of Volume 8, but then that's it. Like, she's just kind of there. Her main arc is in Volume 6, and it's a pretty good arc in what is already like a really good volume, even without her. I think that she was necessary. I think she was more necessary for driving the plot forward than Ozpin or Crow ended up being in Volume 6 onward. The main reason she's on here is because she's just she's fun. She's an older character. She's Ozpin and Salem notwithstanding. She's, I think, the oldest member of the actual cast, or at least oldest named character by a long shot. Like, she's old enough to where, like, her father was around before the Huntsman Academies. Just her dynamic with RWBY and giving her kind of the tools or knowledge that she needs to further utilize her powers, but also just not doing it for her, like, sitting her down and saying, like, hey, you gotta trial by fire this thing, because there's no like secret technique or secret trick to it. You just gotta feel it out when you're fighting Grim, and it's not gonna activate unless there's Grim nearby, so we can't even like practice it. So I really like that. And then younger Maria, in the flashback that was in Volume 6, is just so hot and such a fucking badass. And that fight is just so cool, and I love her weapon. I love that it is a more practical version of the scythe than Crow or RWBY's, and it uses gravity dust, which I am always a fan of, because gravity dust freaking rules, and more characters in the show should use it. And then, she ended up having 2 just really good designs that follow the same design ethos despite being a literal half-century plus apart in age.
She is a good character. She's solid. My thing, I guess, is showing she doesn't really need to be around after Volume 6, really. I'm not saying they need to kill her off. I'm just saying she doesn't really need to be there. No, she's not bringing anything down, but it's still just like another character to be there. But yes, I mean, compared to the other adult characters, she does the most to help out the plot without dragging the characters to the plot, which, in fairness, that's great. It's almost more frustrating that they show that they can write that sort of character and then not do that for other characters, like Ozpin, for example. Yes, Maria is enjoyable, and yeah, she's a fucking badass. Her character design is so cool. I do love how it is, like, Native American, Central Mexican, like, kind of Day of the Dead almost themed with the skulls and stuff like that. It's like a little bit of that without making it cartoonishly so.
I mean, her name literally means like candied skull or something.
Yeah, so it's fucking great. I do love that. It's very creative, and she looks great. And her weapon is one of the coolest in the show. It's great. I do like every once in a while that introduce a cooler weapon post Monty, and this is definitely one of the. This probably is the coolest weapon they've introduced post
Yeah,
Monty.
sometimes they get it right.
Yeah, and this what they did
This is
definitely. Her
example
fight
of
scene
it.
was so cool with Talk. That was a great fucking fight scene.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. Yeah, Maria's a great character. I just, I'm fine with her showing up, some more, but I think I still think she could be used to serve as someone to temper Ruby's hot-headedness, I could say, but that's about it. No, she's good.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I have actually changed my opinion upon mulling it over. Like, you're telling me that a sweet old Mexican lady is in front of me, and yet I'm not stuffed with food somehow? This makes no sense to me. I've never experienced this. This doesn't.
That is
This
a tragedy. Sweet old Mexican or Italian lady in front of you, and you're not stuffed with delicious food. That is indeed a tragedy. I will give you that, because you could have
Yeah,
had the best
so
eating. You could have just had the best eating experience of your life, and you didn't.
yeah.
She's trying to cook, but because of her eyes, she's just not able to do it correctly. Sad,
You-
truly
has-
horrible fate. But I think it's
she has
time.
to like go off of like taste or smell or one of those things, I guess.
All right. Well, we're on to media again, I believe, because I think this is another one where he's the only one who put this character on his list. This is just one higher on his list, and that is Professor. I'm sorry, I mean Dr. Oobleck.
Oobleck means something to me. Like, deeper than his actual role in the story. A little bit of personal lore here. Around the time that RWBY started, I was in my second year in college when it started. And I was getting ready to get my associate's degree, and I was kind of directionless. And I had someone who like helped give me direction. He pushed me towards like teaching and stuff. Literally, while I'm in my first semester of UMSL, going to student teaching, Volume 2 happens. And Dr. Oobleck gets quite a bit of screen time in the last third of Volume 2, where he interrogates Team RWBY, gets them to kind of admit that they had these preconceived notions that were not totally inaccurate, but kind of were inaccurate about what it means to be a huntress and what it means to them and how they are going to have to find out what it means for them in order to become the huntresses that they want to be. And he doesn't question RWBY on that. This is all things that I'm pretty sure we went over in our best scenes, because I certainly had it up there. But then he said, like, I want to be a teacher because there's nothing else that I would rather be. And he says that the same about being a huntsman. Like, he's doing double duty here. And that resonated with me so much that, like, he instantly became one of my favorite characters. And he hasn't shown up since Volume 4, so he has not had any chances to get fucked up yet.
That's true.
Which is more than I can say about his cohort, Professor Port, whose actor ended up being kind of a creeper, unfortunately. So yeah, Oobleck remains, like, spotless. And also, just within his role as a teacher, I always get annoyed when you have a show that has a school setting that doesn't really utilize the strengths of a school setting at all. RWBY does fall into that pitfall, like, sometimes, but overall, I think it handles it better than certain other shows that have a scythe wielder who may or may not have fought RWBY in a recent death battle. Yeah, I think RWBY handles Beacon as a school setting better than Soul Eater handles the Death Academy as a school setting. Not saying that RWBY is better than Soul Eater. Not saying that RWBY is better than Soul Eater in any other way. I'm just saying that, like, I have no fucking idea why anybody in Soul Eater is attending that school. So yeah, Oobleck, he's also just a fun character. He's actually funny. And he has good dynamics with everybody he's on screen with.
He does. He's a great character. The only reason I don't have him on the list is because there's just not enough of him for me to... And I didn't have the same... Which is funny, because, like, similar life path in a lot of ways to media, actually. But I still didn't have quite that same connection, probably because I wasn't in the same place at the same time when Oobleck came out as a character, but I did still like him, obviously, and I think my favorite thing about him was the way he, like, actually asked... They used him to ask the girls the questions, like, why are you being a huntress, all that kind of stuff, and then not asking RWBY, and then having her ask him was great, and then him give such a confident and pretty excellent answer, honestly. I like that a lot. So yes, he's an excellent character. There's nothing really wrong with him, there's just not very much of him.
Another example of not being on screen for too much. It's like, yeah, this character's awesome. It's like, please don't ruin this character.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. I kind of wish they had sort of interspersed him more somehow, but I also don't like it seems like a lot of characters on this show do it's like a revolving door type thing with them, which like I prefer it if there's usually if there's like more they stick around for a longer while, but Oobleck was fun. Yeah, he did a thing.
He is cool. I do like Oobleck. All right, next up. Okay, 3 people had this person on their list, actually, and that is Winter Schnee.
Which 3 people had it?
I think Winter was
everyone
on
but
mine.
me. It was everybody but me. High-powered had her the highest.
Winter is just below Neo.
That's actually funny. 7. She was just below Winter. She was just below Neo on my list, but Neo was 11 and Winter was 12 on my list. So I'm very happy to see Winter on here because she's so close to making my list.
So what I like about Winter is because you can't talk about Winter without talking about Weiss, and then you can't talk about Weiss without talking about the rest of the Schnees. You get to see, like, because Weiss could have totally just went down the path of like, oh, I'll just join the military like my older sister, but then she decided to like go to the Huntsman Academy, and she also decided to go to a very far away Huntsman Academy in Beacon. I do like Winter's character moments. I enjoy, like, first introduction with her is, the fight between Crow and Winter. Her character interactions later on in the series, like especially with the Aesops. Ugh, it put a sick taste in my mouth whenever I said that.
She weirdly doesn't interact too much with the Aesops, which is a good thing. But
yeah,
it helps.
Like, the interactions that she has, like in Atlas with Weiss, are all pretty good. And especially towards like the later season. Winter could have easily sided with Ironwood, but she didn't. Which maybe if she had been more into the Atlas Elysian military, like for maybe another 5 years, because Winter seems to be both like in her mid-20s and her mid-30s at the same time, like age-wise, because you don't have like a specific age for her. It's a good contrast with Weiss. And they don't do anything like bad or dumb with her character.
So Winter is a more successful version of what I think they originally wanted to do with Ironwood, which is that, like, they really did a good job hammering out, like, what her dynamics are. Like, what are the most important relationships in her life? Like, it's Ironwood, Weiss, and Penny. Not necessarily in that order. But right out the bat, she's positioned as, like, a top agent of Ironwood in the same way that Glinda is the right-hand man to Ozpin. Like, she is already on that level. We see that even more in Volume 7 when it's revealed that, like, Ironwood put her and Penny as, like, his 2 top people, like, even above the Aesops. Then you have her dynamic with Weiss, which contrasts very well with RWBY's relationship with Yang, especially now. Like, the more they sabotage Yang's character, the more, like, good Winter turns out to be in comparison. There's this bit that's actually in the manga that always stands out to me. And I think it's canon as far as I'm concerned. Like, I know the manga, especially the one by RWBY, was of, like, dubious canonicity. Like, it is, but it isn't. It is so long as it doesn't conflict with the canon material. There's this little bit, it's like 3 panels, where, like, Weiss is kind of, like, cradled up by a little baby piano, and then you have Winter silhouette, like, you don't even see her face, but she's like, are you going to give up again? Does that mean you're okay staying here playing house? And I think that speaks volumes to, like, what their relationship actually is. Because as we see in the manga, and especially in Ice Queendom, that, like, Winter is the law as far as Weiss is concerned. And part of that is not following directly in Winter's footsteps. Winter would not want that from her. Winter would want her to find her own path, carve out her own niche within the Schnee family legacy. And Winter, like, believes in her and encourages her throughout Volume 3, and gives her a little bit of tough love as well. They're not, like, super affectionate towards each other, but Winter is definitely, like, concerned about Weiss and worries about her. She does everything she can to kind of help Weiss without babying or coddling her. Still, like, pushing her to, like, become her own person, which is really good for someone with, like, we don't know exactly how old any of the characters are at this point. We know that, like, a lot of time has passed since Volume 1, but we haven't had any, like, age updates since Volume 1. So even Weiss, we kind of estimate that Weiss is, like, 19 to 20-ish, which would put Winter anywhere from, like, 25 to 30. You know, a significant age gap. And then you also have her dynamic with Penny, which is completely different, but also speaks volumes of her character, where, like, Penny is the robot who wants to be a real girl. Winter is the real girl who wants to be this cold, calculating, effective machine. They certainly, like, bring out the best in each other, even though they don't share a whole lot of screen time together. They have, you know, the scene where they outright say exactly what I just said, where Winter is trying to, like, keep all of her emotions under control, but she just can't because she just fucking hates Jacques. She hates him more than Weiss. Like, it's like she just is not having a good time that entire episode. And then Penny is like, no, I don't really know how it feels to, like, not want to feel things, you know, because I want to feel more than what I do.
That's a great scene. I love that little interaction is so good.
Which is what makes it kind of tragic when like Winter is being groomed into being the Winter Maiden, and the reason why she fails in Volume 7 is because she was too effective. She was too efficient. She was too cold. She didn't really open herself up to Freya the way that Penny did, and that's why Penny got the power. And then, only after going through her character arc and having to confront Ironwood, even though, like, real talk, Winter did not really change throughout Volume 8, she just stayed the course. Like I said, like, she basically succeeds where Ironwood fails, where Ironwood got character assassination and went crazy. Winter was, like, still doing everything she could for all of Atlas to the bitter end. But it's only through, like, you know, not wanting to make those sacrifices and then being forced to make those sacrifices, losing Penny, losing Weiss to the Ever After, it's only then that she gets the maiden powers, too little too late to save the people most precious to her.
Well, I put her on my list for 2 reasons, left and right.
I knew you were going to say that. I was waiting for someone to say that.
She is fucking hot!
She is. She might be...
Winter?
Is she the hottest character in the show? Winter?
Oh, man, she might be.
I think she is.
Like,
she's definitely up there.
Barmaid that flirted with Crow is pretty high, actually.
Oh, wait.
I should do, like, on one of my live shows, I should just have, like, a goon session where I just have all the RWBY characters and rank them based on how hot they are.
Wait a minute, we can do that! Wait a minute, no, oh god, we have to do that. Okay, I'm writing that down right now.
We're not having a goon stream, no!
No, we are ranking the hottest characters in RWBY. We are so doing that. It's gonna be fucking bullshit, it's gonna be great. Hold on, no, we are 100% doing that. I don't care if
Well,
I'll have to get
we also
drunk for
forget
it.
that what's her name exists too. The other like hottest
Oh,
characters in the
Glinda?
No, this is,
Obviously, Glinda is going to be on the
No,
goon
well, I
set.
mean,
Screw you.
Glenda's like
oh hell
the
yeah, Glinda's got to be high up there.
what's her name? Emerald. Forget
Oh
Emerald.
Jesus.
Yeah,
yeah.
Emerald would be
Yeah,
on
no
there.
shit. It's gonna be a really close.
Yeah, I would tempted to have Weiss and Fascist Weiss as two different characters because they hit different.
Oh no, they are 100% going to be different characters because one of them is ranked way higher than the other one. Are you kidding me?
That's
Yeah.
rigging the bet. That's rigging the votes, you guys. Okay, you're putting
I don't
the
care.
same candidate on
I don't care.
twice. Come on.
The Shnees have a lock on like the top 5. Anyway, so moving on before we give away all of our rankings for that podcast, we got way too excited about that and started ranking it. We have to do it now because we got way too into it all of a sudden. There's no way we're not doing it. So look forward to that in the future, everybody, before Volume 10 comes out. So next, I mean, I like Winter too. Great character, great dynamic with Weiss, great dynamic with Penny. She doesn't ever reach the highs that Ironwood reaches, but she obviously doesn't reach the lows that Ironwood reaches either. And she's one where I almost didn't rank her just because I want to see how they finish off with her. I'm like holding judgment in a way. I think that's partly why I didn't put her higher on the list, but she was number 12 for me.
She does get a lot of focus in that epilogue video.
Yeah, which again, we'll see how much of that they actually end up adapting. That's one of the things I'm kind of waiting
the
for.
epilogue video of dubious canon.
It's yeah, exactly. They're saying they were going to they were basically implying they were going to use it. So let's see how much they do use it. Okay, so anyway, speaking of extremely attractive Schnee family members, the next one on the list is one that I believe only I put. Oh no, 2 of us put on the list.
No, I put
in the
Willow
same
down.
spot. Yeah, Willow Schnee, which we both put in the High Power Knight, both put in the same place.
I like Willow a lot, but putting her above Winter is dirty work.
No, but you know why I did it, okay? I did it because there was that one scene that, to me, is still the best individual scene in the history of the show. And that was the scene where, her one real big scene that she has, Willow, where she talks to Weiss, and Weiss, is coming to try to get some info, basically dirt on Jacques and what's going on, and Willow's has this whole conversation with her, and that whole scene is just fucking brilliant, honestly. There were some people apparently that really didn't like that scene, and I don't know what fucking show they were watching, because look, I know this is not a great show. I know the show fucks up a lot, but that scene they fucking nailed. The thing I love about Willow is that she is a morally gray character done extremely well in this series. Partly because, again, she doesn't really have enough time to get fucked up and ruined by the show. But I guess people were disappointed that they kept teasing her, and then when we finally see her, she's like kind of a wreck and not that great of a mom. It's like, what the fuck did you expect? You want her to be Callie? Because Callie's fun, but she's terrible for Blake's character. She kind of partially she does make Blake's character worse by being such a great mom. It makes Blake's character less understandable and explicable. Whereas Willow turning out to actually be a fucking drunk 18th century hikikomori, basically, because that's essentially what she is. All she does is just sit inside or sit in the garden and drink all day. That is basically the 18th century equivalent of what a hikikomori is.
It's a beautiful
She's useless.
life.
Yeah, that's all she does. And what did you expect with Weiss being the way she was at the beginning of the show, and even how she still is, and how fucked up her home life clearly was? Of course, that's how she's going to end up being. You want her to turn out to be, this wonderful, perfect mom? That's fucking stupid. That would be terrible writing. And thank God the writers didn't actually go with that option. The fact that when there's some great moments in that scene where I keep saying Winter. Willow asks Weiss, "Are you here to stay?" And Weiss says no, confidently. And Willow sheds a tear and hesitates and says, "Good." That is a fucking heartbreaking moment because it's perfect. It's the kind of thing the show doesn't do often enough, where she is right to not want her daughter to be there because she knows that she can't really do anything for her at this point. And that's okay for the show it's good for the show to portray something like that. We shouldn't need all the characters, all the parents to either be super evil like Jacques or super amazing supposedly like a Summer or Taeyang or Callie and Gira or whatever, right? It's she is broken beyond repair because her husband told her, "Hey, guess what? I only married you for your name, and I had 3 kids with you, and I just don't give a fuck about you." That is holy shit. That's fucked up. As somebody who went through something personally that is honestly very similar, was told something very similar less than a year ago, but not even quite as bad as that. I can sympathize and I can understand why she became a fucking drunk. That is completely understandable. Like that's the kind of shit that humans react to stuff with. And then the other great moment is when Winter. Oh, well, sorry, God, I keep their names. Fuck. Weiss says, "Yeah, well, some of us are actually doing something about it." And the next moment, Willow just takes 3 fucking giant swigs of vodka. And again, people complained about that moment. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? That's brilliant because that, especially by this show standards, because they are showing, not telling, that that is what she is doing. That's what she's doing about it. She's drinking because she's just given up. And I get it. Like, it's sad to see a broken character like that. She's going to do the little things that she thinks she can do to help her family, like looking out for Whitley, which was a great thing that the writers then ignored. But that was great on her part. And she does do these little things to help Weiss. She's smart and mature enough to know that the best place for Weiss is not with her because she knows Weiss already is a better person than she is and is dealing with this stuff better than she is. And I just love seeing that level of complexity in a character. I don't think we successfully see that level of complexity and moral grayness and, you know, both good and bad in a character anywhere else in the show. And in fairness to these writers, again, because they haven't had time to fuck it up yet, I think they get that right better than some other shows that have better writers. For example, Legend of Korra doesn't have a character as interesting and morally complex as Willow Schnee. I'm not saying actually, no, I do like RWBY better than Legend of Korra. Fuck Legend of Korra. It sucks ass. RWBY is slightly less shit than Legend of Korra. Sorry, that's how bad Legend of Korra is. But those writers wrote Avatar: The Last Airbender. And they wrote a whole 4-season show that doesn't have a character as morally complex and interesting and well executed as Willow Schnee. So, even by yes, she's not in it enough, but damn, she is so well executed for the small moments that she's actually in the show. And again, I dog on the show like we all do. I got to give them credit when they do actually nail something, and that scene they did nail.
I think she is pretty good, you know. I am kind of wondering now though, like what if they had just made her a really extremely nice mom, but all of her kids hate her for no reason?
It would sabotage everybody involved with the Schnees.
Yeah,
I
it would
feel
sabotage
like
Weiss's character for sure. That would be a big problem for Weiss.
it would have been funny though.
I mean, we would have gotten good memes out of it, just like we got good memes out of the whole Blake bullshit.
But I would rather have good writing. We can get memes elsewhere.
Yeah, especially when a character's this hot.
Yeah, we can take her a little more seriously.
Sorry, y'all put my head in the gutter, so this is just who I am for the rest of this podcast.
That's fine.
We'll have a whole other podcast for this. I'm actually excited to do that ranking. All right. So next up, this is one that I know for sure. I'm the only person who put this one on the list. And that is Emerald Sustri, or however the fuck you pronounce her last name.
Sustri, I think.
Sustri? That's how you pronounce it? Fucking hell. Oh,
Sustri.
fucking Emerald.
Dun 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 bomb bomb.
Fucking Emerald. So I talked about her in the last character ranking. Did I? No, I don't know if I did. Whatever. I like Emerald. She's a character. This is the one on this list where I was just like, fuck it. I just really like this character, and I know that she's not as well executed as she could be, but I don't care. I like her. So I put her on the list. Like, I thought she was kind of interesting the whole time, come out of nowhere, and they're just really annoying and kind of frustrating. And I like that Emerald's isn't like that. Is it very obvious that they were hinting at it the whole time? Absolutely, I thought it was. I remember some people were saying, like, oh no, she's not going to turn sides. She's not going to turn sides. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm terrible at predicting stuff, and I don't like to predict stuff. You guys, if anybody who's watched this podcast for all 100 episodes would know that. I do the least amount of predictions. But even me, after volume through, is like, oh, she's definitely switching sides. Whether she dies in the process or not, she is 100% not staying on the bad guy's side the whole time. And I was right. And that's such an obvious, it was very obvious. And I'm okay with that. I like that at least it's consistent with her character. I like that she was another slightly not as complex and interesting as Willow, but she's had more screen time. Uh, she clearly was with the bad guys specifically because of Cinder. And I like the motivation because I do sort of get that whole loyalty thing where, based on what we know from her, Cinder did get her out of the gutter and basically give her everything. And so her personality is I'm going to be ridiculously loyal to that person and stick with them no matter what. Now, obviously, she does eventually break that when things go too far. Yes, could they have explained or shown that better? Of course they could have. But, we're talking about RWBY here. It's not a perfect show by any means, if we're being generous, right? But still, we saw that she was not comfortable with everything for a while. We saw that she was the most uncomfortable dealing with Salem. And I like that one of our biggest issues with this show is why the fuck does anybody even listen to Salem in the first place? The only one that really makes sense to listen to Salem is Tyrion because he's kind of a fucking psychopath, zealot basically. Okay, fine, I can buy that. Him, I'll buy, but everybody else I don't. And the only other one I buy is Emerald because it's obvious she never wants to be there. She never wanted to be there in the first place. She is only there for Cinder Senpai.
I just want to go back to stealing jewelry, please.
Yeah, and that's all she wants to do.
I'm in way over my head.
Yeah, she's not that evil. I think the one thing that was pretty inconsistent with her character is when they had her and Mercury just murder the Tuxan guy. But other than that, again, this is what I'm saying. This is why she's not higher, right?
She was also the reason that her casting the illusion over Yang and Pyrrha to cause an entire riot that drew in huge amounts of Grimm that probably killed a lot of civilians. That's also pretty evil, I would say.
Oh, for sure.
To do.
Oh yeah. I'm saying I don't think she. I mean, if I'm guessing, she's not as direct. It's one of those things where like she's probably ridding herself of the guilt a little bit because she doesn't feel as directly responsible for killing somebody, even though of course she is very responsible. I'm not saying she is a completely morally good person. She's very much not. But I just kind of already saw it coming, so it makes sense that they would do it. And she's more enjoyable of a character. I like her personality. She's like the most straight up tsundere character in the show. Always trying to act like she is annoyed by everything, but you can tell she actually likes some people. And I think also another reason why she's on here, one, her character, her volume 8 character design, that outfit, fucking incredible. If you watched our character outfit rankings, fucking love that one. But also her little speech after they save Penny, kind of initially, was really nice, especially when you compare to the last time the writers tried to have a character give a "look how much you've grown" speech. It's much better and more impactful having it come from an outsider than having it come from Ren, who's literally in Volume 5 just sitting there saying, "Look how much we have grown." Her perspective is, look, you guys are still here after everything we've thrown at you. I don't actually know that you're better than you used to be, but I'm just assuming if I'm still here and made it out, and you guys are still here after everything we've thrown at you, you're all probably not in the same place you were when you started. And I think that is a much better perspective, and it's much more meaningful to have someone like her say something like that in that moment than what anything Ren has said or anything anybody else has ever said about the characters growing.
Yeah.
Is it perfect? No, but it's the best one so far. And also just the line delivery that her voice actress gives. I always forget her voice actress's name, but she gives a great delivery in that little speech. I'm surprised she's like, she even does like, it's gonna be really pissed if you give up now or whatever. I don't know. And I can't believe she didn't add like an Oni-chan no Baka at the end of that. Like that's how tsundere she was at that moment. I think it works, and I'm looking forward to seeing. I know we don't need more characters. I get that, but I'd rather see more of her interacting with the main group. I think that would be a really interesting dynamic to see her interact with like Nora and God, even Oscar. Like, could she make Oscar actually more interesting with her like very snippy tsundere attitude? I just feel like that might make him slightly less boring. I'd rather see her interact with those characters than all the other characters interact with fucking Team Coffee again. I think that would be more interesting, for example.
I think the main thing well, I'll just reference the thing that was lost in the dark depths of OBS, where I referenced a previous opinion that I held on the same thing, which is that like she didn't make my list because she's still kind of up in the air for me. Because
That's
even though
fair.
she did turn to the good guys, the way she turned didn't address the main reason she was with the bad guys, i.e., Cinder. So, unless they give her some sort of interaction with her at some point later, I'm not going to call it one way or the other with her, because like she does need to. You got to at least put that down. She does need to talk to Cinder at least one time about this situation. I would assume she would try to like get her to come over to her side, possibly fail, possibly die in the attempt. Who knows? But whatever happens, it's got to happen, you know.
No, I
And
agree.
and I will reserve my final judgment of her for that. That's kind of the main reason, is that she's kind of like teetering on a tightrope for me right now. I can't really it's she's on the precipice of good or bad, and I don't really want to make any kind of statement on her right now.
Oh yeah, no, she could easily get bumped out of my top list easily. And I will also
Yeah.
admit, like I said, this is my most biased pick. This is my
This
I
list
just
doesn't
think
have to
she
make sense.
this is my I just think she's neat pick. You
Yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean?
To quote Top Gear or
Oh yeah.
that one
This is great.
show,
This
the
is
rules
nice, but I
it's like
like
the point
this.
the rules are made up and the points don't matter.
Next up is one that almost all of us had on our list actually, and that is, except for Coop actually, and that is The Curious Cat.
You know,
Go
I
ahead
will
and
say this about Rooster Teeth. Putting non-consensual vor into a series, bold move. That's all I'm gonna say. Bold move.
Let's see how it plays out, Cotton.
The Curious Cat is when I first put him on there, I thought I was the only one who was going to even think of this character, and I ended up being wrong. The Curious Cat, I think, is the best use of the whole like fairy tale storybook illusions that RWBY has ever done, because it has the same vibe as the Cheshire Cat, but it is a uniquely different beast altogether from the Cheshire Cat. And it's done in a way that keeps you guessing. In fact, so many of the complaints that have been levied at Volume 9 all stem from the fact that the Curious Cat was gaslighting Team RWBY and gaslit the audience by extension. There are so many people who are just outright objectively wrong about the way that reincarnation works in the Ever After, even after we actually see how it works. And they're all just kind of in denial about this, either because they just want to keep making suicide memes, which is valid. I do that too. Or they just want something to bitch about, which those people are just miserable, and I don't want to listen to them. Or they just got gaslit by the Curious Cat into thinking that the whole taking the tree leaves was a more permanent thing than it actually ended up being. Even if it did end up wiping RWBY's mind, it wouldn't have changed her heart, her soul, who she actually is deep down. But none of that actually matters. Like, all the philosophical quandaries and stuff that happened in the Ever After, and with Ascension, reincarnation, the tree leaves, the smoke, the herbalist, like, none of that matters because RWBY chose to keep her memories. Like, people just kind of forget that that is the choice that she made at the end. So, like, even if you want to say, like, oh, doing this or that is outright suicide, then even by that logic, RWBY didn't commit suicide. She only attempted it, which is still kind of fucked up, but and still, like, really dark, darker than the show has ever gotten. But beforehand, but it's something that, like, people do struggle with, people do deal with, and it is done in a very fantastical way that separates it from the realities of the situation, but still, like, addresses some of the core issues that cause those kinds of behaviors and those kind of thoughts and those kind of actions. But anyway, back to the Curious Cat. Like, he is so dubious. Like, you don't, like, he's kind of skeevy. You kind of, like, inherently don't trust him because It's Wonderland, and everyone has read or watched at least one version of Alice in Wonderland in their life, and the whole point of that is like just don't trust anyone. Just they're all a little insane. Like I said, like he bullshits so much, and it's all done for a purpose. His whole motivation throughout Volume 9 is to break Ruby's heart, to make her feel like she's not good enough, and make her just completely dead inside so that he can possess her body.
Or somebody else's if that doesn't work.
Well, I mean, he kind of lucks out with Neo going through a similar bullshit.
Which actually made sense, though. Neo losing all of her motivation after that. That actually made sense. I didn't even have a problem with that.
Yeah, it was just a little convenient.
Actually kind of made sense logically, so I kind of don't really mind it too much. I like the cat too because he's fun. He's kind of funny. I like that he's kind of an inconsistent narrator, and I like that I wasn't really sure how bad he was going to be. I was pretty sure he wasn't going to be completely a good guy, but I didn't know he was going to end up being that bad because that's not how the cat is in Alice in Wonderland. So I'm glad the writers went with a different angle for that. And I like how fucking hard he gaslights Ruby because, man, shit goes hard that scene. I like when the show gets a little more serious sometimes, because sometimes when they get more serious, they fucking screw it up terribly. Sometimes they actually do a pretty good job. Kuroyuri's, for an example, the Weiss and Willow scene, the apathy arc, and then this. You know, a lot of the best stuff in RWBY is when they get more serious. Is when they can knock stuff out of the park sometimes. It's not every time, but when they do, they're better at trying to get super serious, actually, than they are trying to be silly and lighthearted. Oh, like when they want to peak, basically. And so I think this actually worked, and I definitely was on the edge of my seat watching all of this at the end with the cat, and especially during the scene where he gets Ruby to play some Sudoku. I love that scene, and he's great in that scene especially. And he's good gearing up to all of that. You can see how he's progressively moving up to that. I liked him initially when I first watched the show, and then going back knowing what he's going to end up doing, I actually liked him even more on my rewatch, and that's what made him jump onto the list for me.
Yeah, I didn't really think all that much either way of him. I mean, he's okay. I guess he's somewhat cool as like a villain outside of the main villains that they have to go through, but like being that he only shows up for that one volume, and that volume is kind of like segmented off within itself. It's and so he's got some impact inside it. He doesn't really seem like he'll have any impact outside of it.
Which I appreciate. I appreciate the fact that he just kind of comes in, shows up early on in Volume 9, goes through his whole villain arc, encourages all the character arcs throughout Volume 9, influences all of that, and then just gets defeated and fucks off and probably won't be back. Hopefully won't be back. There's not really anything else for him to do, and that is just... I like it when a character... doesn't overstay their welcome or get shoehorned into arcs just to pad out the cast.
Yeah, but what I'm saying there is that I couldn't really put him on my top 10 lists of characters in the entirety of the show because of that, because while he's good where he shows up, he doesn't show up for that long or really have that much of an impact outside of just Ruby and Neo and getting rid of Neo, basically.
All right, do you want to move on to the next one then? All right, this is another one where only two of us had him on the list, and it's Coop and I this time. We have the psychotic zealot himself, Tyrion.
I think Tyrion is he's just a swell guy, just the kind of guy you want to hang out and have a beer with. You know what I'm saying?
I'm never having a bad time when Tyrion is on the screen. That's the thing with Tyrion. That's why he's so high on my list. I realized I was thinking about, I'm like, God damn, I am never unhappy when Tyrion's on the screen. I'm always having a better time when he's there than when he isn't. And he is fucking. He
This
seems almost completely crazy, but he's actually kind of smart in a certain way. Like, he knows exactly who he is. He has found his fucking passion in life, and he is just pursuing it to the fullest. He is assassinating people for his mistress, and that's all he wants to do, and he's fucking doing it like nobody else. Dude's fucking happy doing it, man. Like, it's great when someone finds their calling, you know? And the
he,
voice acting performance is fucking
yeah,
phenomenal.
Josh Grell, same voice actor as Fudoro Uesugi in the quintessential quintuplets dub.
which I never watched.
I almost wish I watched
He's so
dubs.
good. He's so good in it.
I watch dubs.
He's also, I believe, Tokoyami, the bird guy in My Hero Academia.
I'm sorry for being a weeb who's learning Japanese right now. I don't know. I don't watch dubs
I thought you
anymore.
were talking about the Burn Man from Fallout New Vegas.
I thought you were talking about Birdman from Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law.
I thought you were talking about Birdman from the film Birdman by Jose Gonzalez by Iñárritu.
There are lots of bird people,
What?
is the joke we're
It's the
giving.
Academy Award-winning film for Best Picture. One of my favorite films of all
Bird
time.
person does not approve.
So, but he's great in that. My favorite scene is the one where Salem says that she's disappointed. And he just starts crying and wailing on that like hound or whatever, and he just starts fucking crying into like the cackling laughter. Oh my god, that voice acting transition! Holy shit! I think that was the best voice acting moment in RWBY. That fucking creeped me out like fucking crazy. That was so good.
He was the thing that made like the three-way crow. I forget the name of the Aesop's guy fight. He made it
Clover.
bearable.
Clover.
Yeah, Clover.
Oh, I mean, just one of the worst scenes of the whole show is the bit leading up to that with Robin, and Tyrion's just sitting there. Like, are y'all fucking retarded? Like, are you guys serious right now? Okay, fuck it, we ball. He just sits there, just absolute disbelief that this is really happening, and then it's just like egging it on, like, oh, I want to see how stupid these motherfuckers are.
I think Tyrion even looks at the writers for a second, like, wait, you guys are this stupid? Let me get away with this? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're in. Let's go.
Just Tyrion being Tyrion, and that's what I love about Tyrion.
Does Tyrion have like the mask powers? Can he break the fourth wall? He might. That might be what happened there.
I think in that scene he might have done so a little bit. I think he got the okay from the writers, like, yeah, we're gonna be that dumb. He's like, you guys are gonna be that dumb? All right, let's go. I got this. I will deliver on the stupidity that you want, and he did.
So like, and not only can he elevate one of the worst scenes to be somewhat bearable, he also had one of the best fight scenes in Volume 4. That one was extremely awesome, and his entire stint with Watts in Volume 7. That was really cool. I liked seeing them hang out with each other. I wish they had more. I wish they had gotten some more time together because their dynamic was pretty good.
Yeah, we get like one line from Tyrion at the beginning of Volume 8 where it's like, while the good doctor and I were dismantling Atlas from the inside, just rotting it away, your bitch ass was only atoning for your fuck-ups from Volume 5.
And he's right to say that.
Yeah.
That's the other thing is Tyrion is. I'm trying to think. He's actually usually correct too. When
Tyrion and Watts have like a really fun dynamic. I wish there was more of them together.
God,
Yeah.
I would watch a whole.
It's sad that we won't get that again.
I would watch a whole show of them too.
Chibi, Watts, and Chibi Tyrion and RWBY Chibi.
We need a return of RWBY Chibi. Yes.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Oh god, yeah. Watson, Tyrion, and Chibi would be. God, I wish Chibi was still around. That would have been the best fucking dynamic. For sure. Even better than Neo and Roman. Oh my god.
Oh, I have one other thing to add about Tyrion. I really appreciate that he is the only Faunus who is not at all spoiled by the fucking White Fang subplot. In fact, when he is first introduced and first revealed to be a Faunus, RWBY guesses that he is there for the White Fang, and he's like, "What? No! I'm only here for my goddess." And then she's like, Cinder. Like, definitely no, not in her wildest dreams. Like, he's just so above that bullshit. I love it.
I mean, he kind of is, in fairness. That's the thing. He is He's pretty consistent. He's very consistent, actually. That's one of the reasons why he made the list. All right, so next is someone. Only two of us put him on the list. Put them on the list. Sorry. But this person is my number 11, so I'm very happy she's on here. My favorite character design of all time, Neapolitan.
Yeah, Neo was number 8 on my list. And I really like Neo because she's a girl who never says anything,
The perfect woman.
basically.
She really is.
Yeah.
Doesn't speak and is also crazy and will step on you.
And cute.
Yes.
I don't know about the step on part. She's kind of short. She'd have to like reach her leg really high
I mean,
up.
I'd have to be laying down.
I mean, wouldn't you assume you already would be in this situation?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I think like a short girl with like a very cute smile and stuff and little parasol. That's pretty neat. The rest of the stuff that happened with her, like, I could probably leave that. Like, were better. She was she was still good in terms of like interacting with other characters in the later volumes, but like what she actually was doing was kind of a lot of times didn't make sense, like for her specifically to be doing, but the way she did it was neat. Like I like that. I'm not sure if I'm getting that across correct.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's very much like what I said about like the worry of the curious cat, which is kind of fitting because they were kind of one and the same for a beat there. Neo was great in Volume 2, even though she was a last minute addition. It just all worked. She's great for the little bit she's in Volume 3. I actually wish she was in Volume 3 a little bit more because they show that like she has a disguise that she's wearing as part of like Cinder's team, but then it never does anything with that. Like it's just one shot in episode 1 and then never addressed again. And then she's not in volumes 4 or 5 at all. Thank God. And then I've always felt like she got added back into volume 6 because they wanted someone to assist Cinder, and they knew that they still had Neo available. And they kind of struggled giving her a realistic motivation for like wanting to hang out with Cinder, and an even weaker motivation for wanting to fight Cinder.
Yeah. I mean, we've said this dozens of times, I think, by now, but yeah, her showing up to wreak vengeance upon Cinder doesn't make any sense. There's no reason she should have blamed Cinder for Roman's death. And Cinder explains this to her at the end of the fight. I hesitate to say it, but this is nearly like similar levels of character reasoning that Hazel was able to accomplish. So, like, Neo was really kind of dumb when she got reintroduced. But she was, like I said, I liked how she was dumb, and I like how she interacted with the people. And even in like in after that when she's helping Cinder out, with her invasion of Atlas, she's actually really good there. I think, just because she's kind of doing the same thing there that she did in the first couple volumes, where she was trying to set off the whole destruction of Vale and stuff, and uh, she works good there. And I was not really, I was kind of like middling on my response to her in volume 9, because like I feel like that was basically just to get rid of her. It seemed like giving her like extra powerful illusion powers to do it. It just seemed like a little bit over the top to me, and I was like, okay, I get it. You're
Yeah, I like Neo. I love her character design. I love her fighting style. Just love the way she looks, and I think she mainly that she is kind of used as a tool a lot to achieve certain. She's like a plot device almost in certain ways
she's sort of like a
because
sounding board for other characters too.
yeah, she
Like
does. Even if her motivations are weak in a lot of cases, which that's why she didn't actually make it onto my list. She does at least usually achieve the things that she is being used to achieve, which is why I do like her, which is why she almost made my list. So
Yeah, it is just very bold for a show with this small of a budget to have a mute character, because that's a lot of work to get across, like, all the body language. Like, it's actually kind of a miracle that she works at all.
That's another thing that I like about her is her having the good body language that gets across her stuff. The only thing about that I don't like is knowing that they can do that with characters, but a lot of times they'll just have all the other characters be still and static because they don't feel like they have to because they can talk. Her and Roman, I feel, have the best kind of dialogue and monologuing scenes, sort of. I don't even know if in her case you could call it log, seeing as how there's no voice, but you know what I'm talking about. Their interactions with other characters are some of the most physically emotive from any of them in the show, and I really do like that.
so next one.
I
Yep.
Yeah,
believe
which one's the next one on the list?
the
So
next one I think is Penny.
yeah, it
Looks like.
is
Ah,
one that
yes, Penny.
just high powered, and I had her on the list, but I had her way higher. I have Penny at number
So
3.
If
I
I
think
had
I was a
2
little
nickels for every
unfair.
time there was a penny on a list, I'd have 4 nickels, but I
I think I
can't do
was a
math
little
well.
unfair. So, like, her character's a good character. However, I feel like she's mainly just like used to move the plot forward. Especially after she became a real girl. I'm like, oh boy, she ain't long for this world. I like her character actions, especially with Ruby, and Winter. It's good. Like, good character there. She's just low on my list because I feel she's mainly used as like a plot device to like move things forward in the series.
Yeah, that's true. But I have her really high on the list because here's the thing: that's not necessarily technically an issue with her character. It's how they use the character that they gave her is the problem, right? I would put it more with like a plot and writing issue personally. Now, obviously, if you have her low on your list, I get why. Because again, in fairness, that sort of makes sense because it is true that she is very much used as a plot device. But the character they do give her, I like. Like she is so much fun with Ruby. Her and Ruby's dynamic is awesome. I don't ship them, but I get why people do. I can't even blame people that do because they are very fun and sweet together, and you can see they genuinely do like each other. So I get why people do it. Very cute and funny that Ruby is just a giant weapon nerd, and that's like her whole thing. And then, of course, her best friend is a living weapon. That is pretty hilarious. I get the joke that they were going for with that. It's pretty funny. So, they're sweet together, and I like that they do give Penny a lot more depth as a character when they reintroduce her. They did not. I know they kill her off, and that is sort of a plot device thing. I also don't have an issue with them bringing her back. I do agree that she was not killed off the best way the first time. I have zero problem with her coming back though, because it was kind of obvious they were always going to do that. She's a freaking robot. Of course they were going to do that. And I do like that the writers kind of knew that too. They never acted like when they did bring her back, like, oh, what a surprise, shocker, Penny's back, big reveal. They didn't do that. They're just like, oh, hey, Penny's back. Like, it was pretty obvious that they didn't see it as a big reveal, and I appreciate that they didn't think we were that stupid. They've done some other stuff where they thought we were pretty stupid and we weren't, but this time they didn't, and I like that. And
I think
her dynamic with Ruby against good. I love that scene with Winter. I like how she actually. I also I like the little the whole tragedy of her becoming a real girl and never being able to even go outside, not being able to feel an actual breeze in her hair, not being able to feel like actual sand or grass on her toes, not being able to actually eat real food. Like she did earn the right to be a real person, and then she's just dead before she could even get out of there.
I felt it was like just a really, really cheap way to eke some drama out of the thing. Like perma turning her into a real girl so you can perma kill her after the first killing her didn't work out that well. Like, yeah, it was just. I feel like they probably should have just let her go. Like, just it. it was just that was the main thing that got her like so low for me. Like I didn't mind her coming back either, like you said, robot, but then doing like then no, we're really definitely gonna fully kill her this time, guys. Just to, it seemed to just be done for shock value, and the first one also seemed like it was supposed to be like a shock value thing
Oh,
too.
definitely for the
Like
first one, 100%.
yeah, and I don't like it. I just felt like it was like super cheap, and I could never really get over it.
No, I
But
don't blame you for that. The first one, especially to me, was cheap. I think, especially if you, I can see the attitude of thinking the first one being cheap could definitely make you see the second one as being just as cheap. I think if you take the second one on its own, I don't see it as being as cheap personally. Maybe I'm just being positive. Maybe I just liked it. I don't necessarily completely disagree, but I will agree the first one was very cheap. I didn't really feel anything the first time. I don't think I even really liked Penny. If I remember, I don't know if I'm remembering this correctly. I could be gaslighting myself. I don't think I really liked her that much originally. Now on my second, my this well not second, but like this most recent watch through is when I, for some reason, really liked her all of a sudden, and I'm not even 100% sure why. But I think her dynamic with Ruby was a big part of it. I think it's the one
she's
dynamic
got
with
a nice
Ruby.
personality,
I think it's
you
the
know.
one dynamic, it's the one relationship that RWBY has that's actually done pretty consistently well with the two characters. Because Yang clearly isn't. RWBY basically never talks to Blake, and RWBY doesn't even really interact with Weiss that much in a meaningful way. So maybe Jean is probably the other one. It's kind of it.
Yeah, Ruby and Weiss always have like a very consistent back and forth every scene that they're in, where like Ruby's kind of a goofball, Weiss is the serious person. This is even more so in Chibi. But it's actually made a point in Volume 9 that like Weiss just isn't someone Ruby confides in when she's down or in the dumps or feeling bad about something like that. That's kind of Jean and the adults territory for her, which is one of the reasons why like she bottled everything up throughout Volume 9 is because, you know, they weren't around. And then when Jean was around, he was lost as marbles. As far as Penny goes, I've kind of always liked her the same overall. I don't think she's ever been in my top 10. I obviously don't hate her. I think she is very cute and very fun. I do like her interactions with the characters that we do see her pair off with. And she's just a really interesting concept for the show and for what it is trying to say about like what it means to be human and what it means to be alive versus like you know what it means to have a soul, like what is a soul. And that's one of the reasons why like Penny had to come back in some form in order to like actually address and answer those questions, and they did, and then they killed her.
I don't know that they really even addressed the questions all that well, though, too, like, because she was still sort of a side character who,
The fact that the plan to give her a human body worked at all proves that like the soul is more important than the body. And
well, no, it just improves that you can put a soul into a body. Doesn't actually prove any importance to either one.
the new body like materializes around her soul, including like outfit, which is kind of weird, but not as weird as a naked Penny would be. So
I mean, I assumed that was just because that's like how the wish was most practical to be granted. Like if like I don't know, like you have the soul right there, but you don't have the body. Are you going to create a body and then uh, apart from it and then put it in? Why not just create the body around it in the first place? Much quicker like that. I get why it was done that way.
yeah, they give her clothes, but not shoes or socks, which was very weird.
I think if Hideo Kojima had seen it, he would be in approval of it.
Anyway, ready for the next one?
Yep. All right. The next one is another one that only had 2 people vote, and this time one of us, Coop, put them at number 1. So we have the Monkey Man himself, Sun Wukong.
Yeah, I don't want to drive you guys bananas with this one, so I won't monkey around too much. I just think that Sun is a really cool guy. If you are a character that can somehow run the gauntlet of volumes 4 and 5, Blake, and come out the other side unscathed, you get the top spot. You won the medal. You got it, kid. You beat all of the other contenders. There's nobody that in the show that can measure up to that.
That is the most impressive achievement probably in this show. Can't believe he actually made Blake slightly less intolerable in those volumes, and nobody basically ended up coming out hating him afterwards. That's impressive. He's just likable, man. He's just fun. I do like his dynamic of just being the guy who's acts like a dork. He's so cool, he doesn't even need to try to ever be cool. That is just who the fuck he is. And they actually portray that very well throughout the show. And yeah, he was number 10 on my list because I just like him. He's cool. He manages to be a guy that like he would seem like you would think he would be the biggest douchebag, and he's not. Like he's actually genuinely a really nice guy. And I think that's kind of a cool thing to pull off. A guy that's actually like popular, but like the writers didn't feel the need to make him kind of a jerk and kind of, a bad guy or something like that. No, he's cool and he's a nice guy. That's just who he is. Like he's just that great. I like that they pulled that off somehow.
People like him because he's likable, and
He's
the
just a
only
good.
person,
He's just a good Giga Chad.
yeah,
Not
and
wrong with that.
and he's great because the only person who ever did have any problems with him was Blake, who was a complete bitch and was not right to do so.
She treated him like crap. I think that's the other thing. I think part of the reason he came out unscathed is because Blake treated him so poorly, and then he was still so nice to her. That's like, damn, like we all just feel bad for the guy.
I do like Sun. He just wasn't really a character I was thinking about a whole lot when making my list. I don't really have much to add other than I do wish there was maybe more of him with other characters outside of Blake, and he doesn't even get a whole lot of interactions with Neptune, his partner, and the rest of his teammate are basically non-existent outside of the book that I heard is kind of shit. He is a character that, like, I know he'll be back, like, because he was already heading to Vacuo in Volume 6, and we see him a little bit there in Volume 8, and then that's where everyone is heading for Volume 10. So we'll see where that goes, and what he's actually probably the character on this list I'm most excited to see return, just because we live in a post-Bumblebee confirmation world now. How is that going to, like, affect the dynamic between Blake and Sun, and is Yang and Sun going to have, like, cool little back and forth, cool little moments?
I hope they don't
between
bring
the two of
Sun
them.
back at all, because I could see that. I could see them like maybe ignoring like his giving up thing and making him jealous or some shit to try.
Oh yeah, please don't do that. That's just shit. Like if he was that kind of person, just fucking why did he? Yeah,
They did that. That would.
Sun just appears with a hotter girlfriend.
I already
Oh,
didn't
God.
like the whole him just throwing away the bag of cash that he had gotten out of the bank with at right when they started up Volume 6. I thought that was stupid as fuck. I'm like,
It was extremely stupid.
like you're giving up now, dude. Like this is okay, whatever.
No.
But
That was one of the worst writing decisions the show has made, actually.
it
And
was
keep in mind, I'm a
the
Bumblebee shipper. I've been a Bumblebee shipper since Volume 3. Or Volume 2, actually, I think. And so for me to say that, it's bad.
well, even in if you look at it from like that perspective, like them doing that was basically like trying to force it. I feel like him and Blake, I'm not a shipper of anybody at all, by the way. I used to maybe call myself that, but I believe there's no such thing as shipping anymore, and I deny all attempts to it. But I felt like him and Blake, regardless of her treating him, I still felt like it was still a good dynamic, kind of partially because of that. Whereas like Blake and Yang's was it seemed kind of forced, and this was one of the reasons I felt it seemed forced, like the them like deliberately having the guy who had spent all that time with her just give up and be like, oh yeah, I can see that those two who haven't seen each other in fucking months are clearly the more in love pair here. I'm just going to let them ride it out. That was so dumb. That
It was extremely dumb. That's what I'm saying. After seeing, and especially watching through on this most recent watch, I don't understand what the fuck the writers were thinking with that. It is abhorrently stupid. I don't put it down to Sun's character. I that one is just so
yeah, it wasn't.
blatantly dumb that I can't even mark anything off of Sun for that. Honestly.
Well, it
Because
just
to me,
kind
it's like he didn't even do it. Like it was just the writers made him do it. It's like somebody held a gun to his head and said, "Okay, you can't have the girl. You're gonna tell her goodbye and you're gonna walk away." Because the thing he said was he told Neptune. I still remember this quote. He says, "It was never about that." Bitch, what the fuck? You were flirting with her so hard when you first got on the boat with her.
Look, if a
Excuse me,
dude
writers,
is
did you
following a
not?
girl around the world
Yeah.
on a boat randomly out of nowhere, like he's trying to get it. There's
Yeah.
no
I'm
two
sorry,
ways
there's no friend that does that shit. This is fucking idiotic. Nobody does that shit. Okay? I mean, if you are doing that, you're dumb. If you're doing that for someone and you are only a friend, you're fucking psycho. Okay? You only do that for fucking you only do that to get laid. Or for actual love, you're actually interested in a relationship. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Okay?
it's the same thing basically, but well, not exactly the
Yeah.
same, but it's
Yeah.
part of it. One is part of the other.
Yeah.
Like
If you're doing it just out of pure platonic friendship, nobody fucking does that. That's why nobody bought that. And that's why, in fairness, and again, I'm sorry, Black Sun shippers, as a Bumblebee shipper, I sympathize with you because yeah, that was bullshit. Coming from a Bumblebee fan, you know what, fuck it. I do speak for all sane Bumblebee fans. That was
you're the
bullshit.
only
You
one,
guys
by
got
the way.
Yeah, I know. You guys got done dirty. It was stupid. But Sun's still great. I still like Sun. He made my top 10 and fucking Yang didn't, okay? So that Yang made my bottom. So
Yeah,
maybe I
yeah.
ship them because them two fucking deserve each other. I don't know.
That's one way of looking at it. That's the most positive way to look at it, I think.
It
I
is.
think I think Sun would want us to look at it that way. And so we should live up to his memory or something. I don't want him to come back though. I feel like they will if they have any interaction between them, it's going to be like awkward as fuck. I don't want to see it. Like
Dread it. Run from it.
Oh god.
It's inevitable.
Oh no. If they do actually pull it off and just make him still be himself and just be like totally chill with it, I'll be so fucking thrilled if they do that. I don't know if they will because I can't.
Friend.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, just give him. Yeah.
All right, next character.
All right. So the next one on the list is Pira Nikos, who again only two people had her on the list, but both people had her pretty high.
So I had Pyrrha in the number 6 spot, and not just because she is a hot Amazonian redhead who can bench press me, but also because, like, she's one of the few characters in the first 3 volumes who gets, like, a full, complete, satisfying arc, and then they don't ruin it by bringing her back. They end it with some high degrees of finality. And the allusions that they make to her post-Volume 3 are all well appreciated. This is a character who was put on a pedestal, who was introduced as someone who is basically already on Huntsman level. I've complained about this before, that like pretty much all the characters except Jean are already Huntsman level from the beginning, because every professional Huntsman we've seen are just an absolute fucking joke. Even like the more badass ones like Crow end up getting like jobbed out to like Hazel or whatever at various points. But her being on that higher level of combat, that's like a really important plot point. Like Osmond says, like it's not just that she's determined or loyal or a good person, she's ready. Like she is ready to inherit the Fall Maiden powers and be a force of unbridled good for the world in a way that, like, say, RWBY, who was heavily implied by the Volume 3 trailer to be the Guardian. Like, I remember that when the Volume 3 trailer came out, and Ozpin is like, it's time we find our Guardian, it cuts to RWBY in the trailer. But then in the show, it was Pyrrha. Because RWBY is just was not really on that level yet. She wasn't ready. But Pyrrha was, or at least Pyrrha was perceived as being ready. But turns out, Cinder's a completely different beast physically than anybody at Beacon can manage, and it's a massive tragedy that she sacrificed her life trying to, like, snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, died, and then RWBY basically succeeded where she failed because her powers awakened and she was able to nuke the dragon and fuck Cinder up all sorts of ways. Literally character assassinated her because Cinder's never been cool since. That is an unspoken benefit of having silver eyes, is you can assassinate people's entire character arc if they have grim powers. Yeah, that's gonna put that in the fucking death battle.
We all knew RWBY was gonna lose to Maka, didn't we?
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
everybody
yeah.
knew. Yeah, it's like no, I don't think I didn't see anybody.
I actually predicted that, like, fully. Like, even the things that RWBY would have an advantage on, I was like, yeah, RWBY's probably got her in speed because Petal Burst, she could hypothetically go infinite speed. And then with Dust, she's got a lot deeper bag of abilities she can pull from using Dust. But Maka could literally, like, break a planet, so it didn't matter.
Did they ever actually use the silver eyes in it, or like?
Yeah, they explained that, like, because of the way madness works, it's very similar to the way that grim powers are explained, and so they had it, like, negate black blood and madness, but then it didn't matter because Maka was still just able to just bust her in half. Yeah, like, Maka didn't even need all of her abilities to win. But anyway, back to Pyrrha. And not only did she give up her life, she gave up her chance at true happiness.
Jay, it was a Greek tragedy.
Yeah, with Jean, where... And it's a scene that kind of haunts me. It's not, like, one of my favorite scenes or anything, but it is a very definitive scene in their relationship where Pyrrha is asking Jean for advice because fuck if I know, goddamn, worst person to ask advice from. But he gives her, like, pretty sound advice still, but she interprets that advice as don't let the team or your friends hold you back. Push them all away if you have to. And she literally does, and then she fucking dies. And then, yeah, the having her armor pieces worked into Jean's design post Volume 4, and then the statue in Volume 6, and then my favorite bit, what actually probably cemented her spot on the list, is when Neo brings the illusion of Pyrrha to fuck with RWBY, and she just has this Pyrrha clone beating on RWBY saying, like, I was supposed to be the best and the
so
brightest.
good.
And
That
I
whole
died
scene
trying
is
to protect
so
you,
good.
and what do you have to show for it? Like, it hurts. Like, that was actually the most pain, like, that, for RWBY, I can see that, like, what Ozpin said and what Penny said hurt more, but for me, just watching it all play out, Pyrrha's hurt the most.
I think Pyrrha's character design is pretty cool, and I like her weapons, but I think she has the personality of a fucking ironing board. Her entire personality is, I am nice, and I am in love with an idiot. And so that's why she wasn't even close to making my list.
I think had they kind of stretched it out a little bit more in the early volumes, like to be fair, the early volumes did not have like a longer run time like the later ones did, so they didn't really have much opportunity to like give her more. I kind of like give her a pass on that. For the rest of the show, she has just been like constantly used to beat John over the head with how sad he is about it, and I'm like, I just can't take it. Like, just give the guy a break. Like, fuck.
Look, we have the solution for this, okay? That's one thing
He
that I'll have
needs
to...
that knee snatch so bad.
We
Yeah.
need to get that artwork commission that we talked about of Pyra sitting in the
Oh,
the cuck
yeah.
Pyrrha. Oh,
Pyrrha
it was
Pyrrha
sitting in the
Cuck
cuck chair
chair
with,
is fine.
with
The cuck
Jean
chair.
Weiss banging.
That's right. We did ask for that, and we lost that.
Somebody,
footage,
we lost that recording, but we are stating it here again now for definitively because we have multiple recordings going for this one. Any artist out there who wants NSFW stuff, we will compensate you. I will compensate you if you give us art of Ghost Pyrrha watching Jean and Weiss bang.
It's in a nice hotel room too. It's got to be a nice hotel room. Okay, full on.
And Weiss should be wearing something more akin to her Snow Pea outfit. Well, or at least with her older hairstyle. Don't give us the fucking Atlas hairstyle.
Oh god, don't give us anything Atlas oriented for anybody. Fuck's sake, Jesus Christ. No, except for Jean. Jean.
You can make him the Rusted Knight if you want.
Oh yeah, that would work.
I prefer not, but you can. That is
Here, guys,
a freedom that I am giving you.
There you go. It should be something like this. Very, very stylish. Like,
That is stylish indeed. That is definitely stylish indeed.
All right. On that note, I think it's time to move on to our next character. We have Mr. Roman Torchwick next on the list. Everybody who all three of you put him on the list in the exact same spot.
Yeah,
Hey,
he got
look.
number 5.
He's a good character. He does his thing. He's fun. A good early villain for RWBY, for Team RWBY, and more specifically RWBY herself. Yeah.
Yeah, if Ruby is like this character of like optimism and acknowledging the darkness of the world, but also just outright rejecting it and wanting to be the hero who makes the world a better place, Roman is the cynic who has lost all hope and is just out for number one him, all about just his own personal survival, and will utilize his skills to work for the villains in order to ensure his survival, which is extremely ironic because he dies.
What I like about him is that he's competent. He would have gotten away with it if it weren't for those meddling kids, and I mean that he probably would have succeeded.
And their
if it
dog.
wasn't-
And their dog too, yeah.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, like he does nearly succeed with the train thing, even despite them, which is really good. Except for when that automatically doesn't work because of the finale of the second volume. But then his later plan, which he wasn't really all that involved in, of bringing the Grimm in, does kind of work, and he does until he gets eaten by one. It seems like a lot of the times he was kind of like too good at what they did, and so they had to like write in kind of stupid reasons why he lost.
I do like how whenever getting bossed around by Cinder and the gang, he's like, whoa there, I've been doing all the hard work around here. What have y'all been doing? Just sitting here in this warehouse? Good
His
stuff.
character design is just another really good one. I would love a fucking Roman, a good set 1/7 scale Roman figure. He looks fucking awesome. He just looks baller. Like the long white coat. The coat looks fucking awesome. The bowler hat. He just the cane he's always spinning around. And he's got so much swagger and attitude. He's just fun when he's on screen. I didn't have him on my list because to me that's kind of all he is. I didn't really get much out of him beyond that. But man, he's really fun when he's on screen.
I thought he had like some of the best dynamics with the other characters. Like anytime that he's talking to another character, it's pretty cool. Like I've already said, when he's speaking to Cinder and them, he has a good dynamic with them. When he's talking to like Ruby, he's got a pretty good dynamic with her. Like it's he's good with whoever he's on screen with, I think.
He does have a really good dynamic with Ruby. I will admit that. You are right. I don't know if personally see the same thing with Cinder. I think it's more just like his attitude being cool and Cinder just being there. I don't know how much of it is a dynamic personally, but yeah, no. With Ruby, in fairness, their dynamic is good.
But yeah,
So what's next on the list?
yeah. Who's above him is
Next is we have the
It's
last one that we actually talked about. So after this, it's all characters that we actually didn't get to the last time. And we are going a little bit quicker than last time, unsurprisingly. We have Dr. Watts, who, again, only 3 of us put him on the list. I think this is the last one that only 3 of us had on the list. I put him
regretfully forgot that he existed, but talk about a man.
Yeah,
A man
Hmm.
who's so driven and so galaxy brained that he was able to cheat death only to be put into a shitty 2-part crossover series. Dr. Watts.
Oh god, yeah, he got done dirty in that series, but we already talked about that. In this series, he's my favorite villain, by a pretty decent margin, I would say. He's the most competent, and also like his character design, fucking best mustache. I think his fit looks good, and like he's actually competent the whole time. He gets shit done. He's the one who's like the most responsible for like all the bad shit that happens to the characters,
Yeah.
actually, which is nice.
With
And
Dr.
he also-
Watts and Tyrion,
he's
shit
always-
gets done.
Yeah, and he's always fucking with Cinder, and he's always right when he's talking down to people. And I love that. And even when he finally dies, like he never really ends up being wrong. And that's kind of nice that the writers, they make their villains sometimes, especially Cinder and even Salem, like they kind of make them a little dopey. A lot of them, honestly, kind of dopey at times, and
Well,
just not.
Cinder especially.
Cinder especially is kind of a dope, and Salem is just kind of there and powerful and doesn't even really need to think. Like she's just like she is like almost like a brain dead, just like Salem Smash. Honestly, if you really think about it. Whereas Watts like actually has to think about shit, and he actually gets it all done, and he's snarky and he's chippy and he's always fucking with everybody, but he's always right, and that's just fun to see that level of competence, constantly going
imagine
on.
the dressing down Cinder must have gotten returning to Salem after the debacle in fucking Atlas.
Well, I mean, it probably happened several times to her. Kind of sad to not see it happen to her a whole lot.
Yeah.
Although then again, like it could have like gone a different way. I don't know if like oddly enough, like Cinder and Salem don't. Salem doesn't interact with a whole lot of people, but I don't really get what. Even though we got Cinder's whole backstory, for good or for ill, that doesn't really seem to tell what her deal with Salem specifically was. Everything regarding Salem is kind of weird. Watts, luckily though, does kind of like just tell you exactly what his whole deal with being with Salem is, which is that he does hate Atlas, specifically for fucking him over out of a job, and so yeah, he's got a somewhat petty reason for it, for doing what he's doing, but you know, he's also a super giga-brained guy with levels of technology like Jimmy Neutron would salivate over. Like we're getting like a cool guy doing cool things, and so that's why I put him on my list, basically. But yes, I do also like how he interacts with other people. I especially, well, like I said before, I especially liked his time with Tyrion. I think that buddy cop duo was a really cool thing to have on screen for the limited amount of time they got together. But yeah, that's pretty much all I
I
got
kind
on
of
him.
wish we had some interactions with Dr. Watts and Hazel. Like I kind of wish we had some of that, but we didn't
I
get
mean,
any of it at all.
what would happen? Like, what the hell is Hazel gonna say to anybody about anything?
Like I feel like Watts would not have a high opinion of Hazel, or I know he doesn't have a high opinion of Emerald or Mercury, though he probably has a higher opinion of them than he does Cinder.
He might like Hazel just because Hazel is very big and would crush him if he didn't. So there could be that. That could be kind of the dynamic there. I don't know. Like I said, oddly enough, the characters that should be interacting a lot on villain team don't really seem to interact a whole bunch with each other. It's really disappointing in many ways. They're not with Hazel, because Hazel is boring as fuck on his own. I don't give a rat's ass if anybody doesn't interact with fucking Hazel. Who?
That is
Yeah.
true. I mean, there's a reason why he was on, I think it was media's shit list. So
Yeah, he was I think my number 5 worst.
I think he was also media. Watts was on yours. Yeah, he was on your top list.
Yeah, for very much the same reasons. He's just competent. He's like legitimately smart to the point where like it kind of lampshades some stuff in Volume 5. Oh, they were actually going somewhere with how stupid Cinder and Raven were being. It wasn't just the writers being dumb, even though they were in many other cases that they will not ever be able to salvage. I've gone back and I've listened to some stuff, and I even, while I was trying to find stuff for the podcast I'm in the middle of editing now, I found our episode ranking podcast. I found the master sheet for that, the one we did with Fat Man Falling, and I had Volume 5, Episode 9 at the bottom of my list. I can no longer say that because Watts gets proven right and gets to rub Cinder's face in it. So that lampshade successfully knocks it up like 4 or 5 slots on my list of episodes, only to be kind of punted right back down into the same numerical spot because of how many episodes have happened since then. But it is at least above like 3 or 4 other episodes from Volume 5, which is something.
They also retconned it to where the whole way that Cinder broke into the place in Volume 2 was with Watt's technology.
Actually, that was set up in as early as Volume 3 because when Cinder is like fiddling around with her scroll and stuff, we see the W. So as soon as Watts was introduced, that's when it was basically revealed, like, oh, this is the smart guy who does the thing with the virus.
The techno stuff.
Yeah, like so we knew that before it was officially revealed that he was a doctor and had like machines and stuff that he fiddled around with.
If there's one thing that didn't get him higher up on my list, it is that he wasn't really introduced earlier on, I think. Because I think had he been around longer, we would have had more cool stuff from him.
He also doesn't really go through an arc. Like, he's a villain, so he's allowed to not have an arc. He's just kind of competent. He remains competent. He gets to show off. He gets to be right. He gets to dunk on people. He gets to have the I told you so moment several times over. And then he bows out.
I wouldn't say bow out, more like was bowed out, but...
Yeah. And then he was in the Justice League crossover where he nearly used Tyrion's poison to kill fucking Batman. Yeah, that's the thing that happened.
I'm pretty sure that's not canonical, so
It's
I'm not.
not, but
we
it's
should
funny.
count it.
It's fun. It's funny to think that Watts and Tyrion together nearly took down Batman. All right, next character.
All right, so we are finally into our top 3. So now with these, every single one of these characters was on all of our lists, and all of them were fairly high on the list. This character, I put them at the lowest out of everybody, and that is Jean Arc. So I'll be quick. I'll be quick here because I don't really care for Jean that much. I will admit he was really low at the beginning, especially Volume 1. He does get steadily better. He's pretty good in Volume 4. Everybody sucks in Volume 5. And he gets better and better as a leader. He's not that amazing. When he really gets good, honestly, is Volume 9. Volume 9 is when I really started to come around on John, and I don't know if he would have even been in. He definitely would have been a lot lower. Maybe he would have been number 9 or 10 if it wasn't for Volume 9. I mean, I will give them, they do a good, solid progression of him becoming a better fighter and a slightly better leader and a slightly less of a little baby back bitch throughout the entire series. That was always my problem with him. He's always just kind of too much of a loser to not be dead by this point. And then in Volume 9, like, yeah, okay, now I see him being competent. I do like how they have him, go through all that shit he goes through and how fucked up he is and actually being able to admit that he's fucked up. I really like that. I like when characters know that they're not okay and can admit that and are still trying even if they know they're like not in a good place. And it's understandable that John is where he is in Volume 9. Obviously, he gets let off the hook a little too easily at the end of Volume 9, but so does RWBY. So, never been my favorite. I always thought he was kind of stealing a bit of screen time from RWBY and some of the other characters. He does feel a little bit too much like a self-insert for Miles. A lot too much like a self-insert for Miles, if I'm being brutally honest. Whether that's true or not, it's how it feels, so it's not good. But he does get some of the most like actual development and progression as a character and growth as a character. So I have to admit, he's one of the better characters in the show. Like, objectively speaking, I have to admit he's pretty well done by the show standards. But he also kind of messes up other characters. So I don't know if he's even a net positive for the show. I never really liked him that much, but I have to admit, objectively by the show standards, he's one of the more consistently done characters after Volume 1. So I had to put him, I think I put him at like number 6 or something like that. Because I just kind of felt like I had to. Not because I wanted to.
Jean's arc has been a long one, and with Volume 9, I think it reached a somewhat natural conclusion with him becoming the Rusted Knight and gaining a level of maturity that the rest of the cast just simply lacks. And that showed with his argument with RWBY during RWBY's crash out. Jean is able to admit that he's a mess and that he's gone crazy, but RWBY is not able to be that level of introspective. If she was, then she would have maybe found a healthier outlet and been able to like actually have an honest conversation with Jean afterwards, instead of doing what she ended up doing. But I think all that's good writing. I think that was done purposefully to show how much Jean has changed and how like him and RWBY are no longer equals. And that's sad. That's honestly a tragedy because they are best buds for the first 8 volumes. They are very close. They are buddies. I ship them. I still ship them somewhat. I am Lancaster for life. I am just a realist who realizes where the story is going, and it's not going in Lancaster's direction, and I just have to be okay with that. But the real tragedy is that, like, RWBY kind of lost the person she was able to confide in. You know, someone she was able to, like, open herself up to and talk about her insecurities. And a lot of this, we'll get more into it when we get into her. But I've seen a lot of people, like, retroactively, like, go back and watch some of the earlier volumes and piece together connections that they really weren't able to before. Like the fact that his semblance is only good in a supporting role. And it speaks volumes of his character, and that he is someone who only values himself insofar as he is able to be of value to the people around him. So when he's not able to, like, be there for his team and his friends, he takes it really hard. Like how he has taken Pyrrha's death hard, that is always going to just haunt him because he wasn't able to stop her from going up into that tower. He was not enough for her. Even though he was, if he would have just said something different earlier on in the volume, but he had no way of knowing that. If he would have asked me after Volume 1 to rank my characters, he would have been pretty close to the bottom because his actions and motivations are just all over the place. But from Volume 2 onward, I've been very much so, like, pro-Jean, even if he has, like, kind of taken away screen time from people who deserve and needed more screen time. But what really cemented him in my top 3 was actually Volume 8. His bits in Volume 8. He doesn't get a whole lot to do in that volume, but he does find a lot of really good utility with Rin during the whole evac stuff. That's throughout Volume 7 and 8. He gets a lot of good utility use out of his semblance, which is good. But it's really the scene where they're, like, trapped in the tundra and Rin and Yang are bickering over, like, what to do and how they lost Oscar and shouldn't, you know, Ren's like, we shouldn't be allowed to make these decisions and whatnot. And Jean is the only one who, like, has the sense to be like, none of that matters right now. We're stuck out in the tundra and we need to find shelter, like, now. Like, we can argue semantics later. And then just the scene that I hate so much when it comes to Yang, I like that Jean was a little confused at Yang. How he's like, why are you focused on Blake? Like, he doesn't say that, but it's like, he gives her this look like, are you serious right now? You're mad because you think Blake thinks less of you for not siding with... What? What the fuck? What? Just, it makes no sense. That's why Yang was on my shit list in the last video. And then that just continues on through Volume 9 when he does get displaced by the clock fruit and becomes the Rusted Knight and tries to, like, change the course of history, but ends up, like, maybe causing it, only to find out that, like, it doesn't really matter because Lewis is the one who wrote the book anyway, and he was just going to make up whatever story he wanted to. It wasn't ever going to be an accurate account anyway, so even if he did alter history or change things, Lewis was going to write the same book regardless. And he's the one who starts, like, putting doubt in people's mind about the Curious Cat and about the Curious Cat's motive, and even he's, like, unaware of just how right he is. I like that he has improved throughout the course of the series. I like that he has, with each volume, stepped up more and more, and I like that his outfits and stuff reflect that. Like, everything about his character just reflects the journey he's gone on, which is going from this lovable loser stuck in a tree to an actual competent huntsman who can hold his own and support people. And I really wanted to see him use a semblance on more people. Like, I still want to see him and Weiss team up and him use his semblance on her summoning. I want a kaiju-sized summoning from Weiss, thanks to him.
Yeah, I mean, he is sort of the generic protagonist guy, but that's
and
fine.
definitely a self-insert.
Yeah. But the only thing I really that didn't get him higher on mine is just like the constant, like, having him, like, super mourn for Pyrrha forever. Like, get this guy over his grief period. I don't care how you do it at this point. Just stop it. Just fucking let the poor man be happy for like 3 seconds, guys. Fuck. He didn't know the girl, but for like 1 semester of college.
Yeah.
1 year, 2 semesters.
Okay,
I don't
still.
know, man. There's women that I've only known for a few months that I still think about As I
That's
just
also
hit every,
true.
as I just hit every guy's listening in the feels.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? I'll give him that sort of.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially because I didn't get hit as hard with Pyrrha's death that like them harping on it so much is just kind of like annoying, especially because like we still don't even know exactly how he feels about her. Like that's the other thing. I don't even know. I don't think he really even liked her like that.
And he never will, and I think that's the tragedy. Like, he never even thought about it. Now he can't. Like, he can't even explore those feelings anymore.
Yeah, I guess that's fair, but that's why we just need some fucking White Knight to just tide us all over and get this all wrapped up, to be honest. Which seems to be the way they might actually be leaning, if we're being honest.
We are not
Weiss
going to be.
just comes up to him and says, "Look, Jean, she was never going to bang you, but I always was," and pushes him in the bed.
And that's where our fan art comes in.
Don't make Weiss a liar.
Yeah, don't worry about don't make yeah. I was gonna say she wasn't going to. She's just she's gonna change her mind. That's okay. All right. So we have down to number 2 on our list, which means you'll know who number 1 is after we tell you who number 2 is. And that is the main character, Ruby Rose, at number 2.
Okay, I have been the biggest RWBY apologist. Really,
You are.
With my list, I said that the top 3 spots, which are RWBY, Jean, and the character you've already guessed, could be interchangeable, but really, I feel a lot more comfortable keeping Jean in the number 3 spot. I don't feel comfortable having RWBY in my number 2 spot, because I've been such a big RWBY apologist from day one. I'm the person that said that RWBY didn't really need to go on a character arc yet. Back in Volume 4, when Volume 4 was coming out, I was like, RWBY doesn't really need a character arc. She's still good the way she is. She hasn't had the kind of challenge she would need to in order to, like, facilitate a character arc. Now she has, and we saw it, and it was fucking fantastic. Some of the best writing in the entire show. I think RWBY's Crash Out is legendary. I think it is one of the best things I have seen in recent years. But the reason why, like, I do understand not putting her at number 1 or whatever is because there was a period of time there, specifically Volume 5 and even a little bit in Volume 6, where she was just there, not really doing anything.
Let's be honest, everybody was just there in Volume 5, okay?
Yeah, like, you can't even blame her for that. But, like, she is supposed to be the one who is proactive. She's the one who was at a dance and left the first chance she could in order to fight a bad guy in her high heels and her fucking dress, just because that's the kind of person she is. Like, she is what every huntress and huntsman should strive to be like, faults and all. And she is very immature. She is still, like, growing up. She is younger than the rest of the main cast. And she has to, like, wear that burden. And there's a lot that, you know, people have gone back and seen, like, oh, she was always insecure. She was always heading in this direction if someone didn't stop her, and no one stopped her because Ozpin is useless, Crow is useless, every adult and every, like, professional huntsman is useless, and the only person who is, like, who could have, like, maybe stopped this, who she opened herself up to enough to, like, head this off it and prevent it, is someone who is in a not any better boat, Jean. The scene I'm talking about is the one from Kuroyuri, where RWBY is feeling the pressure and is doubting herself, because she got everyone involved. She was on this damn foolish idealistic crusade, and she put not just her own life at risk, which she gladly did, but she also put Jean, Ren, Nora, and Crow's life at risk too. And then Jean reaffirms her by saying, like, you didn't drag us along, you inspired us to join you, you know, we're kind of all here for our own reasons, we're not just here because of you, it's not just because of you anyway, you just gave us the strength to carry on and move forward, and that's something that she really needed, and it's not something she was able to get throughout Volumes 8 and 9, you know, when all the shit hit the fan. RWBY is, I think, a Paragon done well, and it's a Paragon deconstructed done well, because all of her intentions, even with her fuck-ups, like, they're all coming from, like, a good, strong, honest, idealistic place of wanting to save as many people as she can, and believing in herself enough to where she doesn't feel like she has to sacrifice Mantle. And that's what causes her to butt heads with Ironwood, is she believes that they're able to save everyone in Mantle, and Ironwood doesn't believe they can. She has a lot more faith in herself than Ironwood does at that point. And that's what causes the division, and then Penny agrees with RWBY, which is why she joins along with her. You know, I've said it before, I'll say it 1,000 more times. RWBY's plan in Volume 8 was fine. The biggest problem is that they literally just don't have anybody on par with Cinder combat-wise. And no plan that they could have possibly come up with would have ever circumvented that, because Cinder and Watts had the Relic of Knowledge. No matter what plan RWBY came up with, they were going to find out about that plan and plan around that plan. Like, RWBY had no way of knowing that they got the password to the Relic of Knowledge and were already onto them. Like, she had no way of knowing that. And you can't really blame her for that, because sometimes bad things just happen. Sometimes, no matter how good your plan is or how good your intentions are, life just doesn't fucking care. Which is exactly what Roman Torchwick told her. He warned her. The real world doesn't care about spirits. The real world is cruel and unforgiving, and you just have to get lucky sometimes. And RWBY's luck ran out in Volume 8, and is hopefully starting to turn around. All of her dynamics with literally everyone is solid. Even her dynamics with, like, Ran and Nora are, like, fine. Her dynamic with Yang, I think, is a little undercooked, but a lot of that's because Yang cares more about Blake. And the plot proved that with the Punderstorm scene, where RWBY, Weiss, Jean, and the Curious Cat are focused on, like, how should we go about doing this? What should we do next? While Blake and Yang are out, like, needing to do a fucking confession. I hate it. I hate it. I do like that scene in isolation, but when someone pointed it out to me that, like, that scene proves that Yang valued Blake more than RWBY, I couldn't look at it the same. But yeah, like, on top of that, just everything about RWBY is cool. I like her. She's fine. I kind of miss her mischievous side. Her cheeky side that we got a lot more of in Chibi, but it is present in, like, the first few volumes. I like that she is someone who, when she is outmatched, is willing to fight kind of dirty. Like how she used Neo's own Paracel against her to knock her off the ship so that she could 1v1 Torchwick. And just the creativity with her and her design ethos, her weapon is iconic, her semblance is great, like, just everything about her is great except for, like, the brief periods of time where she just kind of sits around waiting for the plot to happen.
Which is fairly egregious, in fairness. But yeah, I mean, in fairness, I had her at number 2. You're the only one who had her at number 1 in our group. But
number 3 for me.
Yeah, I had her at number 2. I do really like her. In fact, I think no, the first time I didn't have her at number 1 either. I think I had the same character at number 1 actually. My list changed a lot since the last time we did this, but I think I still had RWBY at number 2. I mean, she does work pretty well. I do like her better than most people seem to like her. I think a lot of people don't like her very much. I think she is far from the biggest problem with this show. I do think she is very consistently characterized, which I like. I do think she is a fun character at the beginning. She gets a little bit more mature and serious as it goes on. I do think she actually grows a bit as time goes on. She does have some hiccups. That stupid speech to Oscar in Volume 5, we can't just write that off as, oh, it's just Volume 5. Like, that was bad. She is wrong to withhold information from Ironwood in Volume 7 and 8, and I don't like that is not what she gets comeuppance for, and that's not what she realizes she was wrong for. I do think that is a problem, 100%. But at the same time, I do think she should have gone through something a little more serious earlier on in the series. Like, she was cruising for too long. I get the idea of a Paragon character, but I don't know if that works when you have so many characters and you really only have, like, 1 or 2 of them actually go through significant arcs up until Volume 9, if you really think about it. So I think you really should have your main character go through more than that earlier on. That said, when we do finally get a serious RWBY arc, I will agree, it was done really, really well. Except for the fact that they missed the landing by a fucking mile. And that kind of, depending on how they handle it with Volume 10, that sort of completely fucking defeats the purpose to me. If they had nailed what they were going for in Volume 9, where they actually had RWBY have her, again, completely deserved crash out. It is consistent with the character that she has been the whole time. She does have a kind of broken and twisted idea of what leadership should be. I still go back to
what she said to Jean in Volume 1 is, nope, you're a leader, you're not allowed to make mistakes, basically. I can see why she would say that. That is something that somebody young and naive would say. And the fact that she still believes that makes sense that she would get so broken after fucking up in Volume 8. So it is understandable that she would be so low. Nobody asks how she's doing. Nobody really even seems to care that much how she's doing. And she's also being fucking, gaslit by Neo very successfully. So it is completely understandable that she does what she does. It does have a lot of impact, and in some ways it has more impact given that we saw her as such a strong-willed character and such a persevering character for so long, and such a positive person for so long. But given what we know about the way she thinks about leadership and the burden and she placed on herself, it is actually not inconsistent for her to do what she did. So the problem with what happened in Volume 9 is RWBY as a show was so poorly and inconsistently written for so long. The writers finally pulled off something good, and the people are so confused as to what this show was supposed to be, they couldn't even appreciate that they were actually looking at good writing for once. That's my belief, honestly, with this show, especially with Volume 9. But everybody who says it was for naught at the end of Volume 9 is completely correct, because they completely missed the landing, and that is why she's not number one. Because she should still...
I don't think they missed the landing, because I don't think they've landed yet. So little happens after she comes back. Like, she beats up the Curious Cat, and then they get some lore dump, and then roll credits.
Yeah, but she still shouldn't seem as fine as she is. That bothers me. If they go back and she's not actually totally fine, and she's still struggling in some way, and she actually has to work through that, then I will happily take back 70% of what I said, because I still think it seems like she was too okay, and her just remembering one line from her mom and that being enough, that's not enough for me, honestly. But if they walk it back, or if this is not as simple as I think it is right now, and they do actually have her deal with really not being okay still in Volume 10, then I'll maybe I would bump her up to number one, honestly. But if they hadn't done that, if they did have her still in a more messed up state at the end of Volume 9, like a more clearly uncertain state, I might have her at number one because of how good her Volume 9 arc was. I mean, Jean wouldn't have been as high as he is without that. That's how much I like Volume 9. It is, now I'm thinking about it, it's my favorite volume. It is my favorite volume of RWBY. And yeah, her character design is amazing. Her weapon is amazing. She just looks awesome. She looks so freaking cool. Like, she looks incredible. I love the color scheme, especially her first arc outfit. That's the one that really works. And yes, Crescent Rose is fucking iconic. It's one of the coolest weapons ever. I don't care how stupid and impractical it is. It doesn't matter. That one you can go with Rule of Cool for. Looks sick as fuck. I do like that. So, I mean, I do have her at number 2. It's not like I don't like her. Like, I do like her a lot as a character. I like her character type. She is consistently done. Even when she does go through her depression arc, it is consistent with the character that we've had the whole time. So they have not ruined her yet. She is one of 4 characters that hasn't really been, like, ruined, that was ever, like, really good. Watts never got ruined, he just got killed, and he was, I think, really good. Jean, I think, is pretty solid, he hasn't been ruined yet. And then RWBY, and then obviously our number 1 character, but I just think there's just a little bit more they could do with, there is definitely more they could do with RWBY.
I think RWBY's really good in general. I didn't really mind the Volume 9 stuff super hard, or at least I don't remember if I did. It's been so long since we did those podcasts that I can't remember what I even said about it. But like insofar as like I feel like the whole things of like what happened with her in Volume 8 and Volume 9, like yeah, they were it was kind of bad, sort of, but the Volume 9 one, like, of her being, like, super down in the dumps to where nobody can help her except herself, sort of, in a weird way, but also her mom's ghost. If I look back over it, like, it definitely could have been done better, but I d I never really needed RWBY to, like, go through some sort of super painful arc for herself of finding out something, and, like, even if they if they go back and, like, describe what exactly happened to get her out of it, like, I'm not sure it'll go over that well if they do that, later on with her. So I kind of think maybe they should just leave it a mystery of how she managed to, you know, fully come back around. Because, like, eh,
That's the thing. It's not a mystery right now. It's one lame line from her mom, and as far
I
as
mean,
we know,
but
we saw everything
that's
that
what we
happened.
gotta assume, yeah. But like, I'm talking about like explaining more in depth how that managed to get her to, you know, having her explain, yeah, this happened, and that's how uh, I realized X, Y, or Z. Like having her give.
RWBY as a show would have maybe benefited from doing thought bubbles, like voicing characters' thoughts more, like other anime do.
Other anime usually voice characters' thoughts in the middle of fight scenes to explain what they're thinking there, but also or sometimes like in the middle of like a comedic gag. I don't usually see them like doing many thoughts in times of like personal strife to like explain what's going on as that's happening. They usually actually prefer to like remain kind of silent on that and let you parse out for yourself what's going on there. I think like if you think back on it, even with the one line from her mom, I mean, the way she kind of looked at her mom from the beginning of the show, I can kind of see how that would kind of like work for her, you know? Like if you've like looked up to this dead woman your entire life and had that kind of like image in your mind about her and she says something to you, that can go like a pretty far way. So I'm not going to put like any value on it one way or the other. I guess somewhat similarly to Emerald, I want to see how it plays out later.
Yeah, that's true. In
Again,
fairness, like I said, I
yeah,
could move her higher or lower depending on how they do it. I could put her to number one. I'm certainly not against that.
she is also like a really good character throughout like the rest of the show. um except for like a very slight couple of mishaps with her. So like I can't put her low. And so I've got her at 3. So that's I can't kneecap her super hard as of yet.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't either. She
Basically,
was number two for me. I still had her even higher than you did.
Hyper, you got anything to add?
Uh honestly, not really. I mean, y'all pretty much talked it to death. So
yeah,
I think what numero uno is it's
So
obviously
so so we all know who it is, right? It's Jacques
yeah,
Schnee,
yes,
yeah,
the
it's
perfect
Whitley.
scumbag.
It's Whitley.
jumping
It's
drop
Weiss.
flash.
It's Weiss.
You all.
This is not the time to gaslight you all into thinking my opinion is anything other than what it is. Weiss is number 2 on my list, but like I said, like her and Ruby are basically interchangeable at this point. Because goddamn, I love Weiss. I want her to step on me and call me a slur. At least the Ice Queen version of her. I love her attitude. I love that she's a little more snarky, but also still manages to be earnest and honest in a way that I appreciate. It really gives her and Ruby a rock solid dynamic, even when they don't really have a whole lot going on together. Their back and forth is always entertaining, even in Volume 5. Even in Volume 5, their dynamic is still good. And Weiss is, again, like one of the first people to actually go through an honest to God character arc, and one of the few people that, went through a character arc in that time. For a while, where she starts off as like such a little shit and is so mean to Ruby and so mean to everyone. Then comes around realizes that in order to achieve her own goals, she's going to have to just grin and bear it and be there. And, her team's success is her success, and she needs to do everything she can to ensure that success and be a good teammate and a good friend and then finally a good person. And then she also gets to go beyond that character arc and go home with it and interacts with the people that kind of embody the kind of shitty person she was before. She finds her own path. She's there for the Mistral Saga. She gets a few moments. And then in the Atlas Saga, she comes back and she doesn't have a whole lot to do, at least not as much as we were hoping, but she does have a lot of really great scenes. She is the one who is responsible for taking Jacques down and is also there for Whitley and never fully gives up on him, which helps facilitate his character arc which comes in clutch for Ruby's plan. Even though it doesn't go perfectly, all of them together do save a lot of people. Like, that's something that, like, I hope Ruby comes to realize in Volume 10 is that, like, as much as she fucked up, they still managed to save a lot of people that would have just been nuked otherwise. And Weiss is a big part of that. I don't like that she is comic relief in Volume 9. That's kind of why I still ended up putting Ruby in my number 1 spot. But she does continue to be supportive and is the first person to, like, acknowledge how the team failed Ruby in that moment. And how they had to just accept the results. They had to, like, take that in stride and just accept whoever Ruby chooses to be at that point.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. That's partly why I did not have a problem with her in Volume 9, actually. Especially on this most recent rewatch, because I realized it actually makes sense for her to be more flummoxed and annoyed and perplexed by the Ever After, because she is the most logical and it's just, it fits her personality to be more confused and annoyed and frustrated by the silliness and lack of logic of the Ever After. Because when she's being comic relief, she's not being dumb. She is trying to be logical in an illogical world, which makes sense for her character. So to me, it's not actually that silly and stupid for her to act like that. They're not changing her character. Her character is acting the same. It's the world that's changed. And so for me, that's actually fine. I didn't have any problem with it, to be honest. And it is within her character to make an absolutely fucking awful joke because she's never really been funny. And then people point that out, and then, yeah, some people had a problem with that joke. I don't mind if you had a problem with that joke, but it's not out of her character to be unfunny because she's never been funny. She's never been a funny character. Again, that kind of makes sense. I actually thought it was fine. And it is good that she is the first one to actually admit fault with realizing, fuck, we should have been there more for Ruby. This is on us, like, including me. That's good. That it shows that, unlike Blake, she is actually the most mature in the group. But yeah, Weiss is my number 1. I'm actually the only one who put her at number 1. I have her at number 1. Everybody else has her at number 2. So she is the most consistently ranked by a decent amount. She beat Ruby out by 3 points in total for our ranking. Character design, she looks fucking gorgeous. She looks like fucking princess. Really cool fighting style, really cool weapon. She has one of the most broken semblances. They should definitely do more of it than they have. She should use gravity dust more than she does. She should use all the dust other than ice dust more than she does. But, when she does cool shit, she does some pretty fucking cool shit. I like that she has gone through a real character arc, and she's the only character so far that has gone through an actual successful character arc that has been relatively well done by the show standards. Yes, could her arc in volumes 4 and 5 been well, I guess it's volumes 3 through 5 really where she really goes through it. Or you could even extend it all the way from Volume 1 to Volume 5 is really when she goes through her growth as a character from being a racist, snotty bitch who has no idea who she really is to realizing, okay, wait a minute, I need to be more of a teammate, I need to be more of a better person, and I need to care about others more than myself, I need to do the right thing, I need to realize what I actually want. I don't care about the money, I don't care about the SDC, I care about the Schnee family name more than any of that, and I care about actually helping people and doing the right thing. You see her go through that in a very satisfying way. There's nice little touches like how she goes after a shallow guy like Neptune in the beginning of the show, and then by Volume 4, an equally attractive shallow guy is trying to hit on her, and she wants nothing to fucking do with that guy. She is it's such a great way of showing that she is not the same person she is already by that point. And she just tells him to get the fuck out. I love that she loses it and fucking almost gores the fucking asshole lady that's there. You can really see how far she's come. And then you see her panic when her dad disowns her, and she's like, you know what? Fuck it, I don't actually care about this anyway. I'm gonna do the right thing. I'm gonna go find Witcher. I'm gonna go try to actually make a difference in the world. And she does it, and she goes out and helps people. Like, she has a great little scene with her and Yang in the room where she's like giving her kind of like a pep talk and stuff. Really good. Like, it shows her helping other people. And the other thing that's great about Weiss is she goes through this satisfying arc. Again, is it perfect? No. Could they have done stuff better? Of course, it's RWBY. It's just a given at this point, okay? I would argue she has the best character. Well, no, she does have the best character arc because they land it with Weiss. RWBY could end up having a better one because the depths of the moments with RWBY are, in fairness, better in Volume 9 than Weiss gets in Volume 4. But we know that they've stuck the landing with Weiss, and the great thing about Weiss is she has been a relatively consistent character ever since then. I think they could have handled how she deals with Whitley better in volume 7 and 8. It could have been worse too, but it could have been better. That is one of my biggest issues where I wouldn't confidently keep her at number 1. This is why RWBY has a chance to overtake her. But other than that, she has always, ever since volume 4 and 5, been the first person to defend Blake and been the first person to defend Faunus every single time. And that is a really good, and they're little touches, and it's not always a big thing. It's a very little thing. It can just be one line sometimes, and it's always Weiss is the first person to do that. And that is a great job by the writers. I have to give them credit that they have realized this character has gone through this arc. We are going to make sure that this is the character that she is from now on. And I really fucking appreciate that, because I think they didn't do that for Yang. Yang went through an equally excellent, if not maybe slightly better arc in volume 4. You could argue, depending. I think I still prefer Weiss's, but it's close.
I would say it's more bold. It was a more bold writing decision with Yang to even have that character arc.
Yes,
whereas,
there you go.
Weiss's character arc is very par for the course for these sorts of shows.
Yes, that's true. So that's fun. Yeah, good point. But the problem with Yang is she comes out of it a shittier character, actually. She's even a worse character in the latest volumes than she was probably in the beginning of the show, and she wasn't a very good character in the beginning of the show. Whereas Weiss has come out of her arc, which less bold, but they've landed it, and she is still the character that she should be after that arc. That is why Weiss is the best character in the show. Has she gone through as much as other better characters? No. I mean, she's nowhere near like what Zuko's arc was, for example, but we're judging this show, RWBY, and in this show, she's the best written character in the show, and my favorite at the same time.
So I love characters who have a very clear goal in mind right out the gate, and whose character arc focuses around them coming to understand like what that goal actually entails, what it actually means, and their reasoning to achieve that goal changing as they grow older and more mature. It's why Naruto is one of my favorite characters of all time, because that's Naruto to a T. He wants to be Hokage in chapter 1. He becomes Hokage in chapter 700. What Hokage means to him and what he wants to do as Hokage and the reason behind him wanting to become Hokage changes so drastically to the point where like he's barely even recognizable, but he's still the same mischievous boy that he was in chapter 1. Like, the core appeal of his character never changes, but everything else does as he gets older and more mature and learns more about the world and more about his own origins and his role in the world and how corrupt and fucked up it is. And that's similar to Weiss with her wanting to take over the Schnee family legacy. It starts with just like, kind of following trying to compromise between what Winter did and what Jacques wants her to do, and then realizing that in order to be like her grandfather, she has to be a certain way, and that certain way, that character arc, is just inconsolable with the way Elysian high society is. The two just do not gel together. Weiss is one of the 4 main inspirations. I'm going to use this opportunity to plug my book. She is one of the 4 main inspirations for my book's deuteragonist, Eliza Alcius. It's her, Anne-Marie Johansson from Number of the Stars, Emmy from Devil's a Part-Timer, and Phoebe Lichten from Phoebe in Wonderland. Those are the 4 characters that helped inspire the character of Eliza and the direction that I've taken her. And the Weiss bit is, she has a similar weapon. She also uses a rapier. Similar family upbringing to a certain extent, and the similar attitude of like realizing the reason behind your goals being inconsolable with the standard method of achieving those goals. Like in Eliza throughout the whole series, especially in book 3, the Grand Selection, available now, link in the description. But even as the series continues on past that, she's going to realize more and more that her reason for wanting to take over the Celestial Order is that the Celestial Order would never accept someone like her. And so she has to fight tooth and nail just to get a basic promotion that she's more than earned. Yeah, so I think about this a lot. I think about my books a lot. I think about my inspirations a lot. So I end up thinking about Weiss a lot. I really like the journey she's been on. I really like that I have been part of that journey as an audience member, and that we've been able to talk about it at such great lengths from Volume 4 onward.
I just like Weiss because she's a team player, And there's definitely parts of this episode of this series where that really comes out to shine. Like I personally enjoy, like, in the last volume, she was basically the most skeptical one out of the entire group. She's like, "Oh, like, really, are we just going along with this seriously?" But no, I mean, y'all talked about it too. But she's gone through like a proper character arc, and they haven't done anything really dumb with her too. So I mean, it's kind of a reason why she's so high up on the list for everyone.
Yeah, I would say that the reason that I put Weiss on my list is sort of a complementary reason to the reason that I put Winter on my list. Because just as the river flows down from the high peaks of the mountains, it must flow through the snowy plains as well.
That is a very artistic way of saying that Weiss is flat and flat is justice.
Thank you for explaining it.
Thank you for ruining the
That is who I am.
Yeah. Fair enough. Alright, well that's our list. We actually made it through it. We actually did this in under 3 hours somehow. It would have been 3 hours for the previous
Yeah, that's
one.
crazy. I'm not even overly tired and my voice isn't giving out.
That's because Media and I wouldn't shut up.
Yeah, I still feel like shit because I'm fucking down with the COVID, but whatever.
I know, sorry, dude.
Yep, and
we
I basically already plugged my books. Anything else before we wrap it up?
Hey, we came up with another great podcast idea.
Please,
Yes.
God, no, anything but that, no.
And remember,
not another numbering podcast, no.
I just
No, we'll leave that one for a while.
No, this one will be a tier list.
No,
like
this will
the
definitely be a
Alchemy
tier
podcast.
list. This will be a tier list, yeah. We gotta do the soundtracks first. We gotta do the soundtracks before that.
I refuse. I will not be there. I'll be
That's
working
fine.
quadruple overtime on-call work for that.
I guess I'll just plug Anchovy's birthday today because it's Anchovy's birthday today.
Duce.
Even though that'll have happened like
they'll know
2
anybody
weeks ago by the time, yeah.
Anybody who's worth it'll know.
I was gonna say any based people will know which day it is. And they will also be saying Duce. Yes, it is Girls in Pants. Right? Yes, of course it is. Of course it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, this video is not coming out for like another month because boy howdy, do I got my work cut out for me with the last podcast.
Hey, people, men of culture will appreciate that what we're referencing. That's fine. It's okay. They'll be happy.
All right. Thank you all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Give us more ideas. Because I love hanging out with these guys, and I've been having a good time editing these podcasts when I have all the stuff I need to edit them. And yeah, you all have a good day.
See ya.
Bye.